Hello. They were moving.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Newington Board of Education to order for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. The time is 7:02 p.m. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deb, would you please call the roll?
Here.
Sean Holler.
Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Anastasia Yacht.
Here.
Everyone here except Ms. Park.
Thank you. And the first item on our agenda is our everyday hero. I will turn it over to Dr. Bremmett.
Get my little right up here. May I use your handheld here?
You may.
Well, good evening. We have a lovely crowd here to celebrate our everyday hero, who is Miss Batcho. Yay! A first grade teacher at Anna Reynolds School. She was nominated by Miss Mazzulli, who is also here. And she gets a round of applause too. And of course, we are joined by some very special students from Miss Batcho's class who surprised her by being here tonight for her special night. But boys and girls, and we've got little Mr. Smith up there too. So where do we even begin? And that's exactly how Ms. Mazzulli started her nomination. Ms. Batcho continues to promote equity and inclusive practices in every aspect of her day as a first grade teacher at Anna Reynolds. Regardless of the holiday or celebration, she goes out of her way to make sure her classroom is not only decorated for it, but also prepares activities, including read-alouds, worksheets, videos, food that's approved by the nurse, and families, and creative activities for her students to learn about them, including traditional holidays like Christmas and Hanukkah, but also less widely known holidays such as Kwanzaa, Lunar New Year, and others. Her latest bulletin board currently has posters of different influential abolitionists, but also a note that says, "Come on in and ask about abolitionists." Literally, first graders, 5 and 6-year-olds, are able to define the term and give examples. During our recent Ramadan luncheon, she was the only staff member to accept a hijab from another staff member and proudly wear it around school. Above educating her students with the highest quality of skills, Ms. Batcho also goes above and beyond to make sure her students' most basic needs are met. When a new student arrived from Puerto Rico and did not have a warm jacket for our cold Connecticut winter, and his family could not get one for him, she went out and purchased him one. She also has a selection of approved snacks and water for her students, so no one has to go without a snack in her classroom. When a student moved out of district a couple days before his birthday, she made sure to hand deliver birthday cards from his former classmates to his new school. I literally could go on and on about all the ways Ms. Batcho makes Anna Reynolds an inclusive and safe place, but I could never list all those ways or find adequate words. Any school, community, or student is lucky to have Ms. Batcho as a teacher. So come on up, Ms. Batcho. So we'll get a picture. Yeah, couldn't we have the students? I think that's a beautiful idea. They came all the way. Look at all these students. And Miss Mazzulli. All right. She's an expert photographer at Anna Reynolds. So.
Mr. Sears, do you want to say anything? Mr. Sears. Oh, do any of you guys have any questions? I have something prepared from a student who could not be there.
Okay.
Okay. This is coming from Zoe.
Okay.
She's very upset she couldn't come tonight. She says, I love my teacher because she taught me how to read. You are the best. Love, Zoe. And then she wrote a bunch of words that she learned in the middle. I'm sure you'll get this real picture tomorrow. But she was so proud of herself because she learned how to read and write because, rad, brown. I don't know what that one says. R, but lots of them. So this is from Zoe. She loves you. All right. Any of the other little friends? You're all going to be, Mimi, come on. I know you can speak up. Come on. All right. What do you want to say about Bacho?
Mia, tell everybody what you nicknamed me this year.
Batchy.
And what do we call Mrs. Moden?
Bodie.
And what's your nickname?
BB.
Okay. And do you want to share something wonderful about room 25?
Everybody cares about everybody. Everybody cares about themselves. Whenever I cry, they always pat me on the back.
Wait, do we have any fun though? Is it a lot of crying and patting on the back?
Yeah, we have fun.
What do we do that's fun?
Imagination time currently.
Anything else?
Recess currently.
All right, I'm not in charge of recess. Bingo. Games in the morning. Let's see. Fun snacks. We do grounding outside. Good? All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I like that we're both vegetarian.
And tell them, what do we have in the calf? What do we do together?
Sometimes we sit
And what
together.
do we eat?
Vegetarian
What's
stuff.
our favorite though? The
Possible burger.
Impossible chicken sandwich, right? We get everyone to taste it. I do love that you're my vegetarian. We love that. Phineas, anything?
One thing is that my friend Liam did today. He has a nickname that he calls me Phineas. Ben.
What about Bacho?
What do I call you? Phineas Finnegan, and that is not his name. We're very big on nicknames in room 25, if you can't tell. Some of us even have matching sweatshirts. Harpy, anything? Lil? Oh, girls, all right.
About Bacho. What is your favorite thing about Bacho? You teach how to read? Do you want to whisper?
Don't be nervous, Lil.
That's okay, dear.
What did you learn how to do this year? I'll say it.
No, that's it.
Are you an amazing reader now? What did you do this morning on the Dibbles? What did we say? You did what?
Did you say that?
I crushed it. You crushed the math. You're amazing. Harpy, what have you learned this year? What's the best thing about room 25? It is also the Masuli hair salon, right? Masuli.
He's the funniest teacher ever.
Oh.
All right. Room 25, before we go, we're going to end with a song. What do we always say? What a day. What a day. What a day to be alive.
Is there any board members that want to make a comment? Okay. Oh my gosh. Can we get like that on Spotify or something to just listen to? That would be great. Just putting out that board request. Just want to say this is kind of like we never know 100% the who's nominating and that kind of stuff. We just kind of see the name on the agenda, and it's a surprise to us too, kind of how that works. So it's one of those things where we just love to hear. I think the relationships that and the words of your colleagues and your nominators about how you are, how you help our schools. And so thank you for nominating. But I think one of the things that just stood out to me was that demonstration, clearly. I don't think we've had we've been lately having boards and shows here. We had Frozen here the other week. I mean, I'm not sad about this. I really think this should be a trend. But thank you to all the students for coming. We're very excited to hear that you're very happy. But just want to say, Ms. Patrick, you're just an exemplary staff member. We always talk about how everything we do is like for our teachers, for our students. That's what we want to see. But to see it in action, to hear what colleagues have to say about each other, to go above and beyond in a time where there is so much uncertainty, there's so much swirling around education, the teaching profession, to bring so much light and to bring so much inclusivity, to bring so much equity, to bring so much individualized education. And when it's very difficult to do that and every child is different, we're trying to meet so many needs here, to see that on display, to hear those words and to celebrate such the diversity we have, the amazing cultures we have. And, I think we were there when we saw some of the decorations on the bulletin board as well, when we did our walkthrough, just to hear so many of those things. God, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. If you want to come to my work every time, I feel like I could use a Miss Bachelor too, but congratulations. Okay, it'll be really good. It's really what I'm asking. But just congratulations. And thank you all so much for really putting a spotlight on what it is to be Newington Public Schools. And I think an example for not just our community, but I think probably the country and the world. So thank you.
Thank you so much. There's no greater words, and one of your students said this, you taught me to read. Yeah. And that is the best thing I've ever heard, and we all in this room know why that's so powerful. But your love and your kindness for your students is so obvious, and the appreciation that you have for what makes each individual student so special is just, it's a miracle, and we love it. And the foundation that you're giving our students is just exactly what they need to be successful as they follow through. So keep doing what you do. Thank you guys so much for coming and for singing for us. We love that. But congratulations and thank you.
Mr. Halloran?
I just wanted to thank the kids, first and foremost, for coming out, showing your appreciation, being brave enough to speak into a microphone in front of a room with a big table with a bunch of grown-ups. I was going to say old people, but I don't want to offend anybody. I am old. Thank you guys very much. I don't want to keep you too late because it's still a school night. But Ms. Batcho, I think kindness, empathy, understanding, friendship, those are the ingredients that make a healthy community. Thank you so much for fostering those, not only in your classroom, not only in Anna Reynolds, but in the entire Newington public school system. As much as you're teaching them the foundational academics that they need, those lessons, how to be in a healthy community, will be the lessons they will take with them and will serve them well. I cannot thank you enough for that. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, did you want to?
Yes, I just add about a week or two ago, I spent a little bit extra time, longer time in her classroom, and all the things that Mrs. Masuli wrote about and the students talk about were just so clearly evident. Our expectations about being kind, being engaged, and being inclusive. But the piece from me was really that the students were running all those things. The students, if a kid walked in the room, were calling somebody over, were waving somebody to come and sit with them, to greet, to check in with each other. When they were looking at a passage on the board, the kids were just getting so excited when they were just to find the different spelling patterns and the reading that they were doing, and they really took ownership of the classroom, the environment, about being kind and being inclusive. And I know that's because Mrs. Batchel spent so much time early in the year just preaching those concepts, those routines to her students, that it really is ingrained in it. And just to see such a positive, inclusive environment where students are so independent and just so welcoming and warm towards one another. And many of you that are sitting in that room or online with us, I saw that firsthand. So your parents should be just as proud of you for hearing the things Mrs. Batchel has been teaching, but most importantly, transferring those skills and applying them throughout our school and in your classroom. So.
Thank you. And a parent made a comment in the chat, said we couldn't make it tonight, but we really love Mrs. Batcho. My child has autism and she really has gone above and beyond to stay in communication with me to make sure that we're all working together to help my child have the best experience that he can. So that was shared. And I just want to say, I know this is a new position for you this year, but I'm just proud of you for taking it and running with it and really, helping your students grow and learn and succeed and setting a model for everyone else in the school and in the district. So thank you so much, well deserved. And thank you, Mrs. Masuli, for nominating her. Yes, and thank you everyone for coming out. It was great to show support for your teacher. And I hope you have a really good day tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Okay, and now we have recognition for our mentors and mentees. Turn over to Mr. Farisi.
That's correct.
Great. Thank you so much for the opportunity to recognize our mentors and mentees. It's so fitting that this come right after the Everyday Hero, because I feel like our mentors, although they don't receive a certificate like that one, are heroes every day for us. They work with the newest of staff who come to the Newington Public Schools, either fresh out of college into the profession or from another district. And every new educator needs to go through what's called the TEAM program. It's a Connecticut educator program to make sure that the first 2 years you are successful in education. And there are a lot of learning modules that they have to engage in, a lot of papers that they have to write, even learning that they do with us around professionalism in the profession. So a lot of great experiences that they have within those first 2 years, but they're also trying to be great educators for those little students before them and the families that they serve. Throughout that whole time, those whole 2 years, we have highly experienced educators who are partnered with these beginning educators or educators new to Newington to engage them through that process. And even if they've finished that process somewhere else and they come to us as a tenured staff member, we still partner them with an informal mentor so that way they can really be enculturated with the practices that we do here in the Newington Public Schools, because it's so important that they understand our curriculum, the way we instruct, how we can best meet the needs of our students, all the great things you heard Mrs. Batcho do, we try to instill upon educators new to Newington. So for that, I just wanted to recognize our mentors for the amazing job that they do to our mentees in helping develop the next generation of educators here in the Newington Public Schools. I'm not sure if we can see if there are any online. A few mentioned that they would be, but I don't see anyone, so I don't know how we would know that. But to all of you who are out there that I can't see, is that Brenda?
Yeah.
Hi, Brenda. That's Mojica. So we do have a few. If you want to just say hi and introduce yourself, maybe in the mentee you're working with, that would be phenomenal.
Okay, I will go. Can you hear me? Okay. Brenda Dwell, I'm an instructional coach at Elizabeth Green and at John Patterson. I split my time there. This year I am mentoring a pre-K teacher who is not new to the profession, but was new to our district. So I've had a great year. I've really, in my almost 30 years in Newington, I haven't spent a lot of time in pre-K. So this year it gave me a great opportunity to get in there. And it's always a nice opportunity to really get to know teachers in a different way. So thank you for taking the time to recognize us. And it is a great opportunity to kind of help others with Newington.
Hi, I'm just gonna ditto everything Brenda said. No, my name is Betsy Mojica. I am a grade 6 language arts and social studies teacher and teacher leader at John Wallace. This year, I am currently working also with a teacher who has 16 years experience but is new to our district. So it's a lot of just kind of getting used to, Newington beliefs, Newington ideas, our meetings and how things go, where things go, when things are. So it's fun and interesting. It's been a lot of listening to how other districts do it and then realizing, how does that work with where we are? So it's always, no matter if I'm working with a cooperative teacher or a brand new teacher or now a teacher who has experience in other districts, it's always interesting to kind of see how that all plays out and, what Newington really represents and why we want good people to be here. Thank you.
That might be all that's joining us this evening, and thank you both so much. And what they are leaving out is maybe humbly is how hard they have to work to become a mentor, right? So they have to get certified every other year and keep that certification up. It's a 3-day training, and then they continue to keep that going. They have to maintain a log with their mentee to make sure that every week they're meeting and keeping a log of how that's going. There's just a lot of work that goes into it. Oftentimes outside of work hours, they're managing all of this just to do this wonderful service for our profession, but the Newington Public Schools as well. And when you see the list of all the mentors, you'll just see so clearly that they're the finest teachers that we have here in Newington. So they're really bringing the educators that we bring into Newington up the right way, so that way they can be the best they can be for our students. So we're just so proud of you all. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any? Ms. Weaver?
Yeah, I just want to say, Mr. Creasy usually brings like this list. If we have it, I would love to see it again, because I call it it's like the NFL quarterback string. Like, that is the A list. It's my Oscars list. Again, not getting an Oscar anytime soon. This isn't a spoiler, but I genuinely believe some of the best teachers lie on that roster. And I think one of the great things is just wanting to thank both those online, Betsy and Brenda. I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. I think one of the things that we always talk about is so much, our teachers do so much, they do so much. And then there's all this additional things. And then it's our teachers helping other teachers and that collaborative work. Teaching doesn't always go into the one way we think of just as students. So to see that interaction between our teachers is just wonderful. So I thank you for once again going above and beyond. I don't think we have that as a full stipulation in the contract of when you sign up to do this. So thank you for doing that. And as someone who has a sister graduating on Monday to become a teacher, I'm very grateful to those who are currently teaching, bringing up the next generation. We're very lucky to have you. So thank you for all your work that you do. And please help our next generation get better. Thank you.
Mr. Newton, and then Ms. Beatrice.
Just a note about Miss Dwill. I knew her when she first started at Anna Reynolds, and I worked a third shift, and I get a call one night. It says Anna Reynolds. I'm like, what's wrong with one of my kids? And I answered the phone after working third shift, and she was hesitant on the phone for a second, and she says, do you have 2 dogs? I said, yeah, I have a yellow lab and a black lab. She said, well, can you come and get them? My dogs jumped our fence, went 2 blocks to the school and found the classroom where their boy was in, and they were in the classroom in the bathtub. I was like, okay, let's go, guys. But she's a good person. So, you know, those are things you don't forget.
And a great teacher. Miss Beatrice?
I don't know if I can do better than that. This is what makes our Newington teachers the best. This is exactly what makes them the best. When you love what you do, it's a gift. There's no greater gift than being able to share that love and your expertise with other people. And I think any one of us who has been lucky enough, and I count myself in this, to work with somebody who has mentored me through my career, it's more than just the knowledge that they share. It's the wisdom that's being shared. It's the creativity and how to get things solved in a way that's meaningful and effective. And you don't learn that in school. You learn that from people who have been there. And it's a real, I view my mentoring as a professional obligation, but it's that type of relationship that makes our district strong. And it is so appreciative. The work that's involved in being a mentor pays off for decades afterwards. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well-deserved recognition, and we appreciate all the work that you're doing. Okay. Now we have a recognition for our board student representatives, Michael and Abby.
They both get a little certificate.
Okay,
And
please come up and accept your recognition.
they have some friends here too from the student council. A lot of flowers tonight.
You. I see you were doing it next year too.
Yeah.
Oh, so exciting. Do you want to say anything? Oh my God.
Sir, some of their student council colleagues. Do you want to read the?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It says the same.
I am so grateful to have been a part of this role this year, and it's taught me so much. Like, it's given me so many good skills, and I've gotten the opportunity to get to know my school community better and to get to know Michael and all the other student council officers. So it's something I'm so glad to be able to continue in next year too.
So again, you already said it. I'm forever grateful and thankful for all of you guys making this easy. You guys were welcoming, friendly, all positive faces all around, even when, you know, it all seemed like it was going crashing down. But no, you guys held it down for us, and which made our jobs and our lives easier. Thank you to all you guys as well for making it so much more easier. And getting to know you was a tremendous honor, and I am forever grateful for this moment. Thank you so much.
I'll just read into the record what your award says. It says, this is presented to Michael and Abby for participating in the Newington Board of Education meetings and leadership within the school community, and for demonstrating exemplary leadership skills. Congratulations. Oh, do it quick. Do you guys want to get in?
About first one, and then they can join, which is super nice.
Oh, Dad.
Just.
Yes.
All right, and then with our Stuco friends.
Our Board of Education.
What are we doing? You time to go home before I guess.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Polaroid time.
So they're gonna just stick around for a little bit longer, so we'll hold our comments till a few minutes. I'm sorry, just a few. Are you sure? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
There's nothing in.
All right. We have public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. If you're in the room, you can come to the end of the table, or online, raise your hand. I see Miss Rodriguez.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Jen Rodriguez, 71 Northwood Road. I am a first grade teacher and a parent, and hold many hats, but foremost, or utmost, I am a constituent, and I want to just kind of speak across multiple hats here. You know, I also hold the hat of being chair of the certification and preparatory board for Connecticut. And I have to tell you, during Teacher Appreciation Week, what a joy it is to watch the board meeting this evening and just see the recognition and kind of see that full circle, or, you know, longitudinal work that's happened, where you see these first graders coming in speaking about how much they love school, to seeing these advocates that we have at the high school who come to every board meeting and speak on behalf of their student faculty or their student groups there. So I just want to say, like, it's just a beautiful moment to see it across all. You know, as part of some of the work that I do, there's a huge focus, as many of you know, on recruitment and retention. And when you have a teacher like Mrs. Baccio talking about the things that she does, but more importantly, her students talking about the joy in her classroom, what a beautiful example of a recruitment for the general public to hear and to see for future generation of educators, right? And then when you hear about our mentors, Brenda was not my official mentor, but she was an unofficial mentor for me when I first started out in Newington Public Schools, a great friend to me. And one of the things that we hear across all of our meetings, across all stakeholders, is that mentorship is so important in ensuring that we not only recruit, but that we retain people, because there is a shortage and there's usually a turnover within 3 to 5 years of starting in the profession. Having great mentorship like we have here in Newington Public Schools is just so key and important to ensuring that our new candidates, our new educators really feel supported and a part of the community. And I'm just so proud of the work that Newington Public Schools has done to ensure that. So thank you so much. Yeah, so Mrs. Baccio, I'm sorry she had to actually leave, so she couldn't hear this, but I'll let her preview it in the video a little bit later. But speaking like of brave, she's just, you know, she worked for so long in New Britain Public Schools, and then to come here in her career and begin in Newington Public Schools and starting off as a reading teacher and then first grade teacher. She's part of my team. And I think that she shows that bravery every day with her own students. I think you saw a little bit of that this evening when you heard them talk about like how fun it is, or how they speak up for each other, and how they're upstanders, and how they're kind, and how they ground themselves. You know, they're learning that from this professional who truly cares not only about the profession, but the students that are in front of her. So if I had to speak about Mrs. Baccio, I would say that she's definitely very brave in what she has done so far, and taking risks, sometimes challenging the status quo, bringing up great ideas, new ideas, things that we haven't heard of before. I mean, I think we had a dog in our school last year, which was wonderful, thanks to her. So I think that she comes up with some really brave and interesting ideas that her students are definitely the benefit of. So, you know, that was kind of my spiel for this evening. I just wanted to say thank you, and just an absolute joy to listen to tonight's meeting during a Teacher Appreciation Week and all the celebrations of really from beginning to end, students and staff and all the work that they do. So thank you so much as a parent in this town for supporting our educators and our students and uplifting them and providing them with leadership opportunities. So thank you all.
Thank you. Yep, just turn the mic on for her.
It should turn.
No, and just state your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Cindy Fourhour, 37 Sequin Street in Newington. I'm here representing Chris Clark and the plaque that is, I guess, on the agenda, right, Matt? So Chris is my friend, but that's only because I worked with him for so long through the schools. It kind of, I love the school system here, and seeing like a young, the kids from elementary school all the way through high school, it really is an appreciation of all of the teachers. And I'm going to read something, if you don't mind, because I don't want to miss what I wanted to say. I spent 11 years volunteering with the Performing Arts Boosters. They were the music boosters when I started. Through those years, I not only worked with Chris, but I now call him a friend.
I respect Chris for many reasons. A few of them are his dedication to his students, his passion for music, and his sensitivity for others. I feel the stage bearing his name is a perfect way to honor his years of coaching, encouraging, and supporting the hundreds of students that have stood on that stage. Chris always has the best intentions for all of the students, and here's a small example. Many of you may know he has personally sewn a lot of costumes for all of the plays and musicals. He has consulted with me many times about the fit of costumes to make sure all the students felt confident and secure in how they look on stage. Cindy, do you think it's high enough? Do you think it's long enough? Do you think it's too tight? He wanted to make sure all the clothing looked and felt good on the students. And I know that may seem like a small thing, but being an awkward teenager on stage in front of a full auditorium, you need to have that confidence when all eyes are on you. He made sure to consider those feelings and give each costume and student the attention to detail required for a fit that's comfortable and confidence boosting. He never made a big deal about it to the students, but behind the scenes, he put a lot of thought into making everyone comfortable in many ways, but this is just one example. Students on that stage knew one thing for certain: someone cared. Chris cared. While it does take a village and many people involved getting students ready to be on that stage, no one can deny that Chris Clark was always there to lend an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry on, or just a nod of confidence that says you can do this. His genuine spirit of excitement could always be heard from the back of the auditorium when he let out his Chris Clark laugh. Do you know it? Ah! Because if you don't know it, you should. Chris isn't boastful or loud. He doesn't pass judgment or criticize. He's compassionate and generous of heart. He is empathetic and caring. And most of all, he's a grown-up version of each student he meets. He knows those feelings. He was once in their shoes and understands them, most of them. Obviously, I kind of like him. And a plaque bearing his name on the stage would be a beautiful homage to his time at Newington High and a dedication to his students. One of his famous lines is, "Memories to last a lifetime." That is exactly what he has created for his students, and honestly, for many parents and families as well. So I hope that this can happen for him and for others to remember all the work he did. You guys know him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the room?
Hi, folks.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Matt Floyd, 15 Woods Edge Drive in Newington. It's good to be here. It's good to see everybody. I want to thank Dr. Brummett and Lou in particular for their patience and assistance with getting this item that was just spoken to on the agenda. You just heard. This will be, by the way, my favorite thing and the easiest thing I do all week, and I do a lot of hard things all week, which is to sell this plaque and this recognition and honor to the board. Obviously, as you know, I was privileged to be a product of the Newington Public School System and of Newington High School, where Chris wasn't just a teacher to me. He was a mentor and a parent away from home. And in the years since, he's become a very dear friend. But as has been said, his impact can't be measured in one student or in one staff member or in one parent. The impact that Chris has had on Newington High School and the broader Newington community will be felt for a generation and has had an impact on generations of students in that school. A 22-year-long career is a long time, particularly as a choral teacher, a men's choral teacher often as well. And Chris has not just shown immense patience and resilience and fortitude in building one of the most awarded and renowned choral programs in the state of Connecticut and supporting one of the most renowned theater programs in the state of Connecticut and in the region as well. But he's also been a very close friend and mentor to so many students. He's been there for them when they needed him most. He's never forgotten what was just beautifully said, that he was once in their shoes. He knows how they feel. He knows all about pessimism. He knows all about the rigor of homework. He knows all about taking that one class, maybe a music class, to get that last couple credits to graduate. He knows all about that. But he's there to meet them and get to know them and understand them. And he's been that for years. So this is, I think, the easiest thing for the board to move forward with. I'm happy to support the board in answering questions about this. I'm really grateful also to Member Weaver, Vice Chair Weaver, for supporting this effort as well throughout the process. But I hope the board will consider moving forward with the plaque and the naming of the stage so that in perpetuity for generations to come, folks can understand and remember the profound impact that Chris has had on our school system. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other public who wishes to speak? Seeing none. Okay. Now we can go back to our student representatives for our standing committee reports. Abby and Michael. Is this the last one? Yes, last one of the school year.
Yes. Abby and I were just talking about this, but it's always like nerve wracking. Like we always like get nervous. We're presenting in front of like all you guys, but again, you guys make this easy with all your smiles and all your happiness. We just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. But last one, let's get started. So what's happening in Newington Public Schools? First of all, we would like to take a moment of silence to recognize a beautiful young soul in our Newington Public Schools community, Senior Gabriella Defoe and her family. Thank you. Gabriella Defoe was a beautiful soul, and her passing was a tremendous loss to our Newington Public Schools community. The school and community continues to show our support for her family as they navigate through this heartbreaking time. Gabriella, her mother, and her aunt will be dearly missed in Newington. We will also make sure that she's appropriately recognized at her graduation as well. So thank you so much.
Like Michael said, she's gonna be missed, and it was really heartbreaking for our school. So we just wanted to take that time to acknowledge her. So what's happening at NHS? We have had a lot of Honor Society inductions this last month and these last couple of months. So we had our World Language Honor Society inductions, French, Spanish, Italian, and Latin. We had our Honor Society inductions in English. So we had a lot of students being inducted, and we're excited to have them. The class essayist contest for the class of 2025 is also out, and seniors have been given the materials to write the speech, and whichever one is chosen as the best they will present it at graduation. This year's prompt is, what is something you learned or some way you evolved for the better while here at NHS that you will take with you through your life and that you think would be beneficial for all your fellow graduates? We also had junior prom a couple of weeks ago, and senior prom will be this Friday. So it was a great time. Junior prom was April 25th, and it was at Glastonbury Hills, and senior prom is going to be at the AquaTurf. Everyone had a great time, and we sold a lot of tickets, so it was really fun. We also had Prom Promise. We altered the program a little bit this year to be sensitive to the loss of the Defoe family. But we wanted to give a special thank you to the Newington Police Department and our staff for helping facilitate the program for both juniors and seniors. Graduation banners, also the materials and the information for that went out to parents so that they can start planning that and putting them up around the town. Decision Day was also held last week, and there was a tailgate in the tennis court with all the seniors earlier in the morning. They just brought food and celebrated the day, and they wore whatever college or branch of the military they were going into, they wore a shirt for that throughout the school day. And then we just wanted to recognize our student council executive board officers for next year. So our president's going to be Adrian Bielski. Our vice president's going to be Michaela Woods. I'm going to be senior board of ed rep. Daniel Biesgard is going to be the junior board of ed rep. Aaron Piakowitz is going to be our secretary. Jalen Henderson is going to be our treasurer, and Jason White will be our social chair. Yeah, so we're so excited to work with them next year.
Yes. More inside of NHS, we had our senior assembly where administration got to meet with seniors on last Thursday to review senior activities and also graduation requirements and the process as well. We also have our NHS Performing Arts end of year celebration where we celebrate all hardworking students in the music program and recognize everything that they have done. And we also recognize the graduating seniors. This will be Tuesday, June 3rd at 6 p.m. in the Newington High School cafeteria. It is $15 for students and $20 for everyone else. We also had on Thursday, May 1st, 14 NHS students of the Latin Club attended the Connecticut State Latin and Greek Day at Holiday Hill in Prospect, Connecticut. Joining over 1,500 other Latin students from all over 40 Connecticut schools. And Latin Day, a day of immersion and in the language and culture of ancient Rome, has been a tradition among Connecticut Latin students for over 36 years. So we just want to take a moment to recognize that as well. This week, currently, we are having a Spirit Week for Miss Tigno to celebrate her winning the Connecticut yeah, I got that right. Connecticut Association of Schools Principal of the Year Award. And Monday, students surprised her by lining the halls and singing and just welcoming her into the building. We have a plethora of other events for her as well to celebrate this amazing accomplishment. And finally, we just want to say good luck to all who are taking AP testing. Mr. Corrin and admin have been sending out daily advice leading up to AP exams to help students prepare for the exams as well. So good luck and to everyone.
So we don't have a whole lot for clubs because a lot of their clubs are wrapping up in these next couple of months and weeks. So DECA and FBLA went to London in early April. Both Michael and I and Dr. Brummett went, and we had a great time. It was really fun. We got to see a lot of the culture in London and just see how their business and their marketing differed from ours and the ways it was similar. So that was really fun. DECA also that next week, I believe, attended ICDC, which is our International Career Development Conference, and this year was held in Orlando, Florida. So at this conference, there were over 26,000 people from around the world. 4 of our students who went attended the Thrive Leadership Conference, and then 2 of our students were competitors, and they participated in role plays and testing. And then National Honor Society has been having a lot of fundraisers recently because every year students in National Honor Society will have service projects where they can give back to the community. So just a couple, Lila Civitello and Bella Longo held their bingo night to raise money for the Jefferson House. And then RJ Pouliot and Gage Howard held a Chipotle fundraiser for Stands for Students, which helps to raise money for music stands for students across the state. And then Link Crew is holding their end of the year celebration at the end of May, where our current Link leaders can celebrate all the service they've done this year, and we'll be welcoming the class of 2026 as an interest meeting too, so that they can see what the club's all about if they're interested in joining.
So now we're moving on to sports. We do have a lot spring sports showing great advancements, so we just want to say congratulations to all spring sports as well. But especially want to recognize Coach Don Lukowski, who reached 300 wins in the past weeks. I know Coach Don has personally really related with my family, coaching my older brother, William Afori, And he's been a great mentor for him, and not only for him, for me as well. And I want to say congratulations to Coach Don. And Arya Dean Storgakis and Olivia Canaperi are breaking through school records for track like it's nothing. So we want to say congratulations to those outstanding scholar athletes.
So for our special shout outs, we want to recognize Kaylin Reynolds, who's a senior at the high school, and she just returned from a week at the USA Hockey Nationals in Ohio. And her team, the Connecticut Northern Lights, finished second in the country. So we wanted to give them a big shout out. We also wanted to congratulate James Smith, who signed his letter of intent to play lacrosse at Southern New Hampshire University. And then we wanted to recognize Josie Piella and Riley Sorrentino, who received the CIAC Exemplary Unified Teammate Award. Josie and Riley were honored Monday night at the AquaTurf with other students across the state. We also want to say thank you to Mr. Greenberg, who puts a lot of effort into running this program. And then we want to recognize Ross Grubin, who was in the class of 2020 in 2003. He was inducted to the Connecticut High School Hockey Hall of Fame.
So that's all for our regular, regularly scheduled reporting, but I wanted to bring notice for a new change for Newington Public Schools, and which concerns how we pay for, say, prom and like school activities. And for years, like Newington Public Schools has had the same payment method and now is outdated. I would like to introduce a new card payment and contactless payment methods to ensure number one, safety, keeping our time, and also building participation throughout the schools. Online payments have been incorporated into like our surrounding districts and schools, and a multitude of staff and students feel like Newington Public Schools needs to catch up. Multiple students and staff have questioned why Newington hasn't made the move yet, and I feel like me introducing this as a student really impacts us having a better Newington school/family system. First, I would like to start out with safety and why this is important. Safety, we have a multiple students that handle cash and checks, and sometimes that can be mishandled. Who's to say, a student will resist the urge to slip a $20 bill once in a while into their pocket and call it a day. We all know that Newington High School, at the Newington High School, we have students that run the Storm Supply, which is the school store. These students are entrusted with taking in the right amount of money from the store to a trusted advisor before the money gets into a safe. And from that safe, it has to get deposited into the bank. Now, this is a lot of steps. If I don't know about you guys, but that's a lot. That's a lot. And this raises the question why we don't have just one transaction from the store to the account. This will also help keep money safe and organized for smoother transactions as well. Next, I would like to talk about how the time this saves the school as a whole. The time it takes to count the money, even from the school store, will be like eliminated, meaning students can complete the transaction and record it and have time to do their homework in between, And I also feel like I would also like to say that it would mostly cut the time in half for students who were to count the money and that they sold, for example, prom. This allows for other necessities to be completed and give students and staff breathing time to clear their minds before the next task. And finally, I would like to talk about, how participation numbers would increase within the district. First, going back to the topic of time, parents in the Newington district would work hard. As you guys know, you guys are parents in Newington. You guys work hard for that. They are very hardworking, and they also have to make time for their children. However, let's say in a hypothetical, little Johnny needs $20 for his field trip. Now that parent has to take their time out of the day to run to the bank, then take out the money, withdraw it, and then bring it to little Johnny. But let's say that parent is too overwhelmed with all the responsibilities. Now Johnny has, has missed that opportunity to go for that field trip, which betters his learning. And this is actually the case with most of our students at Newington High School. And I believe integrating a card/contactless payment method would increase participation throughout the district while providing a safe and efficient way to handle transactions. Thank you.
Love it.
Like Michael said, I really do think that this kind of system would be really helpful to our school community. Like just from the perspective like of a DECA officer, a lot of times like at big school events we'll be selling and parents will come in, they'll be interested in buying stuff for their kids or for themselves and they don't have cash on them. There'll be like, a lot of situations like that, not just with the school store, but in our school as a whole. And I think we would be able to raise a lot more money and it could be a lot more of an efficient system. But yeah, that's all we have for you guys today. So if you have any questions or comments, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. It was a great last presentation. Ms. Weaver.
Last one, best one. Here we go. One question too on this before I give you all your flowers and all these things. Would this be like an integration? I just think of like from an equity perspective, not everyone has access to a credit card or access to ability to, if they're unbanked and that kind of stuff, it would be integrated.
Yes,
Okay.
this would be integrated to accommodate for everyone here at Newington and outside of Newington as well.
Yeah. So like instead, but totally get it because I handled as treasurer of student council.
Yeah.
I know all of the days, just like counting
Just
that and the
counting
quarters
through,
and the quarter. Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
you miss one bill. Oh, I gotta count again.
I thought I lost a quarter and I lost it. But no, thank you guys so much. I think you just actually gave a great example of why you're exactly perfect for these roles. And I think did exactly what we asked, right? Is be a part of this board and you guys have been. I think one of the things that's so great is, we always talk about portrait of the graduate, our family of learners, the things that we want Newington students to be. And we're always happy that our student council members can be that. But you really just go into the school and make sure that you really highlight everyone. So I appreciate you guys doing that over and time again. So not just in this presentation, but just the work that you do. And you are overcommitted and absolutely just beyond ambitious in so many ways. And I am so proud to just be in your presence because you bring a certain element that none of us can bring, which is that day-to-day on the ground perspective. So thank you for continuing to show up, even though it's like literally tech week and hell week, 1 week that you're there, then you're here during AP testing, no biggie at all, right? I mean, Michael's like, senior year, I'm good. I'm good to go. But no, I just really appreciate it. You exemplify a lot of what I think we wish all students could do and could be when it comes to also the holistic nature of what you do, the arts, the clubs, the sciences. You're very much well-rounded folks. And so kudos to you for doing that. And then thank you for bringing all of this. I think for those who watch our meetings after and that kind of thing, you help the community recognize what's going on day to day in a way that none of us can speak to. So thank you for continuing to show up. Michael, we will miss you. But Abby, thanks for coming back. Wow. I feel so loved. And just congratulations. And thank you guys for stepping up. And congrats to the next Stuco board. As my best friend and I would say, Stuco is life. Our parents hated that. They were like, you have other things to do in life. Student council is not. And I was like, I disagree. And look where I'm at now. So thank you guys both and good luck. We'll see you both a million times at every celebration now.
Tony, go ahead.
So how can we, as a board, advance that idea of the payments? Because it seems like common sense to me. It's very important. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't know they only did cash.
Yeah, I think we just have to look into our policies and talk with our finance director and
I would recommend it be a future agenda item.
Brittany?
You guys have set the bar really high. Everyone has big shoes to fill. Michael, you're going to be missed. Abby, we're so happy you're coming back. I wonder, in regards to your last PowerPoint, if there's a way we can build it in with a student ID, similar to when you're at college, you scan, your ID, it goes to an account, the parents pay the balance, just because I feel like some parents aren't going to want to give their credit cards and say, now run off. That way parents know it's just for school-related expenses. So I don't know the logistics behind that or the costs associated, but something we definitely should look at.
Thank you. Mr. Halloran?
I'll speak to the issue at hand. Number one, what a great legacy to actually like implement a lasting change. I think that is a wonderful idea. I think it is part of what we need to do to prepare our kids. Like, this is how the real world works, not the real world in 1986. So I think there's a lot of multifaceted to it. I love that you brought up like parents, like kind of live in a cash starved society now. Like, if I've got to get some $15 for a field trip, and I'm sure my kids will give me plenty of notice, like 24 whole hours. I got to run to the ATM. I got to get out at 20. Then I got to go buy a pack of gums so I can get change. It is, I think you brought up so many good multifaceted reasons why. I look forward to discussing and looking at what the options are. To the two of you, I cannot believe we've gone through a whole year. It's been crazy fast. You have both been amazing because you represent the most important voice that will ever be in this room at this table, and that's the students. To hear it directly from the students, that can sway a lot of decisions or opinions because you live it and breathe it. And the decisions and discussions we have at this table affect your daily lives and your friends' daily lives and the culture in which you walk through. So getting that feedback is vital to the success of this board. So I cannot thank you enough. I wish I could give you another plaque and some more flowers, but I can give you some gum. But Abby, I'm so happy you're coming back. If I was able to reflect back on this year, I think it would come down to three P's: professionalism, poise, and prepared. I think every time you come into this room, you are ready to do it, and you have some wonderful leadership qualities. Michael, you're going on to a whole new chapter of life. Like, there's going to be a whole world in front of you, and I cannot be happier for you. Was it University of Hartford?
New
New Haven. I knew that. My dad went to New Haven, right? Division, yep. So you're going to have a good time there. I am convinced that you still, no matter if you've spent 12 years in this school system, nobody's taught you how to not smile. Even when you're not smiling, it's right there, man. It is like right beneath the skin. And I think that attitude is going to take you really far because it's like almost a way of like, just don't sweat in the small stuff. Like, you're just brushing off, like, we'll get through it. I'll figure it out, put in the hard work. I am very proud of you both, and I am honored to have spent this year working with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Beatrice?
I can't thank you enough for what you've done. This is actually the part that I enjoy the most, is interacting with our students. And you guys bring the students every time to us. And as others have said, you're our eyes and ears on the ground. And I'm always struck by what I think is going on and what actually is going on, and the depth of the activities and the involvement of our staff. We're hearing that from you guys and what a difference it makes for you and for your friends and your fellow students. I'm struck always by your leadership qualities, and others have mentioned that as well. That what you demonstrate here with us is going to carry you so far after you leave us. And this is what we want, is for our students to bring those qualities out into their communities and make all of us better for it. So thank you. I can't be prouder of both of you. Thank you for coming back. We love this. And Michael, you are going to do wonderful, wonderful things. There's going to come a point in time pretty soon where you're going to look back on your time here, and you are going to be so amazed by the opportunities, not just that you've had, but that you've contributed for others to have as well. And those are the memories that you're going to carry with you forever. Your leadership, your confidence, those are qualities that you're going to bring, but you're also going to be sharing them and lifting up people that come from behind you. And so for that, I can't thank you enough. Also, too, PowerPoints are amazing. we needed that. So thank you for your time. We know you're both extremely busy people and you still manage to work in a little bit of time for us. And so it's greatly appreciated. We're gonna miss you. So but we're glad to have you back. Thank you again.
Thank you for being here. Michael, it's been a pleasure seeing you around town, everywhere, because you're always around doing everything. Working, I've seen you working too, yeah. But thank you for everything you brought to the board this year, and I wish you all the best in your future college career. And but we'll see you again a lot. And Abby, so you too, you do everything and you're always around. And I just look forward to seeing you next year, bring even more leadership and positivity to the table. So thank you so much. Congratulations. And if you guys do want to just stick around for a couple seconds, we are going to move our agenda a little bit. We're going to skip policy because we're talking leader, and we'll move our discussion about the plaque first in our new business section. So that'll be right now.
All right. So this was provided to me, I believe, by both Ms. Weaver and Mr. Plord about their, oh, goodness, one of these days I'll get this right the first time. And there's been many positive comments already made tonight. So perhaps I could turn this over to Ms. Weaver. Would you like to speak to it? And then Lou was able to provide me with a sample as well that might help you with the decision-making process. But let me turn it over to you for this project that you've helped conceptualize with many others.
Yeah, and I'm happy to bring Mr. Floyd and Mr. Connolly up as well if they want to say anything as well to the dais. But yeah, I think one of the things, and as sentiments were said by Ms. Farhour and Mr. Floyd before, Mr. Clark is a special figure in Newington. And so many lives have been touched by him, including mine. And I think as he is retiring this year, after 22 years of service, also was Teacher of the Year, which is noted. We were having conversations, Councilor Port and I were saying, I think one of the things that would be great, and newsflash, we will be having a celebration May 23rd, 7 p.m. Thanks to Mr. Connolly for bringing that up. So, but to dedicate to someone that has done a lot, and as someone on the policy committee who we've been looking at this policy, but it's for someone who has made an extraordinary or, huge impact in Newington Public Schools. And I don't think there's beyond a shadow of doubt that Mr. Clark has done that for so many people. Those in the musical productions, in the music programs, and choir and chamber choir and men's choir, men who sing. There were so many different things that Mr. Clark has done for the students of Newington Public Schools, and truly does span decades. So we were talking about ways to properly, I think, honor and memorialize his impact on our school system. So we talked about the place where it all happens, the room where it happens, so to speak, is the auditorium, which has already been named after Charles Bowes, our first high school principal. And so we thought, what are ways to incorporate that? We were talking about different things, and Mr. Ford said that we should name the stage where it all happens. And I think there's no better person to have it named after, no better place to have his name hang. And I think it would just be a wonderful thing. So I'm just going to say I'm in full support of this, would love the support of the board to do so. And I'll just turn it over to them to add anything else, but want to say thank you to all of those that are doing their incredible efforts to, I think, honor one. And I would be remiss if I didn't say Mr. Connolly is if Mr. Clark is the left hand, Mr. Connolly is the right hand driving the entire ship. So I just want to say his direction of all of our productions, at least over my tenure and many other tenures, has been nothing short of perfection. But I'll turn it over to them to say any other words.
So I can't really add beyond more than what's been said, except to bring the perspective of a person who's worked side by side with him for 16 of the 22 years that he's done productions at Newington High School. And the effort that he puts into these shows it's to say it was Herculean is an understatement. And he not only takes on this with love, right? But he also takes on more, right? It wasn't enough, his costumer dropped out, and so what did he do? He learned how to sew. He did not know how to do that. He learned how to sew, and then he started making costumes. And I remember the night before we did How to Succeed in Business. There's a number that is called Paris Original, where like the joke is this girl singing about this beautiful Paris Original dress that she has. And then every female in the show comes on stage with the same dress on. He made 30 dresses by hand. He was sewing overnight the night before the show was in the auditorium with two helpers. The dedication that he puts into the shows is beyond human capacity. I don't know how he's done this for 22 years, and I just try to keep up with him. So to be able to be a part of it and to know that when he steps on to the next chapter, that he will have a lasting legacy beyond the impression that he's made on a generation of students, really means a lot to me. So I'm really hopeful that we can come to an accord on this. Thank you.
Do you want to add just what it is, like just describe what it is?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Something I'll mention is that one of the conversations that we had for some time and that I had with Lou and with Jess, of course, was about where in particular makes the most sense. Mr. Clark has touched a lot of places in that building, and in particular throughout the music area, obviously his classroom, but other areas. And so we discussed, where would be best. We settled in a lot of ways on the stage because in perpetuity, we thought it would be fantastic to highlight Mr. Clark's contributions to that space, not just in the physical space, but on the playbill. When folks come to see shows, right now they're greeted with the fact that they are seated in the Charles A. Bowes Theater, but could also identify that they're viewing a performance on the Christopher Clark stage. And that's really important to, in perpetuity, remind people of the contributions that this one person has had on this community. So that's what I'll mention. In terms of the sizing and other things like that, I'll defer in large part to Lou. We had a great discussion about what size could make sense, where in particular it would be located. Where we had settled and what's included on the memo that's in front of you is for it to be located on the right side of the stage, below one of the speaker cutouts along the kind of brick edifice of the stage, a plaque, and I believe it's 24 by 36 is what we discussed. The message there is a draft message. It's one that I showed Mr. Connolly that we worked together on, and obviously certainly happy to take any edits or changes to the description, but it's meant to highlight Mr. Clark's contributions in perpetuity. Cost, I'll defer to Lou. I've already let folks know. Obviously, there's a massive community. You've seen two of the biggest cheerleaders of that community here tonight that are excited to support Mr. Clark, not just in this event this month, but in creating scholarships and other things. And so I've already let folks know that, we are excited to jump into gear to support fundraising for the cost of some of this, but certainly if the district has funds that they have available to support something like this, of course, welcome that kind of support as well. So that is where I'll leave it, and certainly happy to answer any questions.
And just to
I would
note,
just like to jump off of this. Matt's being modest when he says that he worked with me on that. He drafted it, showed it to me. I said, that looks good. And then I sent it back to him. So I really want very much to understand this. Matt drove this. This is from him. Sorry.
just to note that it's not a memorial, like Mr. Clark is fine and well.
Fine and well.
I just want to note that.
That is true.
That
He's
is
alive and
like,
well.
he's fine and well. We're sad he is retiring from his duties as a teacher, not life.
So there's a few samples on there that Lou provided me as not, yeah, obviously the wording on there is not accurate, but just some samples. And to remind the board that there is a policy that speaks to whenever the board is approached about naming anything. And it's a pretty policy that was developed not too long ago. But as a reminder, the board does not necessarily have to approve this. The issue would be, have they decided, is there any questions they might have for the folks bringing this forward as to cost or sustainability? The policy calls for whomever brings it forth that they would have an idea of how they were going to raise money to support the cost of it. The board may recall the Memorial Garden that was brought forth a year or so ago from the PTO at one of our elementary schools. So the policy simply requires that the committee that's bringing this forward have an idea of the cost and any type of maintenance. Lou, I know you've looked into it. There really is no maintenance per se. I don't know if you want to comment on any of the particulars.
Apologize for the late pictures, but they just showed up this afternoon. Otherwise, I'd be out here with the old Federal Express hand puppets to describe things for everybody. So that was really just examples to share with the committee about the wide range of how they can produce a sign. You know, we originally looked at brass plaque, similar to others that were there, just prohibitively expensive at $8,500. These are acrylic, and you can get the elevation, you know, the look that you want, or if they're etched, you know, whatever way you want to build it out can be done. And this is just showing just some of the samples of things they've done. That's not the size, you know, it's 36 by 24, and that will look really great. It's just a matter of what color scheme that the group wants to have, or whatever little graphics that are tied into the overall design. So this is still a work in process. You know, I'll have some physical samples in a few days on this, presuming that this is the direction the group wants to go in, or if there's other ideas you want to consider, that's fine too. We can do that.
Lou, how much is the brass? Is it that?
8,500 is what they quoted.
You make plastic, it looks like.
Yeah, these are acrylic, what they were showing us. So they have a lot more flexibility with design capability instead of plastic.
Turn to the board chair to entertain any questions about this project or the specifics.
Are there any questions? Mr. Holleran?
Probably more of a comment than a question. I do like the acrylics. My opinion, I'd love to see them in the school colors, right? Kind of makes sense, ties it in. I'm in favor of this. I mean, we can see the impact in front of us, and I think you put it best when you said it impacted a generation, and it clearly did. We have the vice chair of the Board of Education and a town councilor who are students of his. Like, they have taken his inspiration and run with it. I think I love it on a stage because of its symbolism. It rises our students up and shows them in the best light. And I don't think that's a better message than you can have for somebody who's dedicated their professional life to the stage and to the kids. So I think that's a wonderful idea. I'm in full support of it. I think the only question I have, you said it would be to the right of the stage. Is that stage right? Just kidding. It would be stage left. No, I'm in support of it. I think it's a good idea. I think we just need to get some specifics, and, you know, we can work that out, but I'm totally in favor of it.
The other, oh, go ahead, Ms. Pratt.
I think me and Michael would just like to comment because every student in this room, Adrian and Ava too, have worked really closely with Mr. Clark. We're all in drama, and Adrian, Ava, and Michael are in chamber choir. We've all worked really closely with Mr. Clark, and working as props master, I had to work with him really closely, especially this year and last year. And he's truly like such a collaborative person, and I feel like no one in drama goes unseen or unheard. And I think that's such a special thing, especially in a club like this where there's so many people and it's such a big process. He really takes the time to see everyone and to hear everyone's opinions. And that's just something so special. And I know me and Adrian are so upset we won't be able to have him for our senior show. But he has done such great things for our school. So I think this plaque would be a great way to honor him.
I would like to talk about like Mr. Clark on the choral director side. So I've had the pleasure of being a chamber choir president for this school year, working alongside with Ava Tavares as well. We have worked with him very closely in providing music that sounds great to everyone. And Mr. Clark, it's an understatement when I say his passion is like it's unlimited. Like his passion for music is so great, and you can see it within his person that he really appreciates what he teaches. And you can see his passion through his direction of, the choral pieces that we sing, always making sure that we are hitting that mezzo forte at a right consistency, making sure our crescendos are so crisp that it wows everyone in the audience. And I know that Mr. Clark is the reason why I became, a singer. Seeing him under direction of seeing my brother under direction of him, and seeing how amazing they sounded really drove my interest into, joining chorus. And Mr. Clark has not only done that for me, but I know he has done that for multiple thousands of students over the years. And for this to not be, moved up would, it would create chaos. It would.
Thank you. Thank you for the warning.
But I mean, you might just have to start, boarding up the walls, everything. But the whole Newington, even if you don't, if you don't have Mr. Clark as a teacher, you just know who Mr. Clark is and what he has done for Newington Public Schools. And that is all I have.
Thank you.
He always puts the students first. He's in the background. And so he makes you feel that way, and he allows you to perform. He allows you to start without needing the light on him. And he's done that for like 6. So many students. And really, as a parent, it brings joy when you go to see a performance, a show, a concert, when he's conducting with your joy. And so when you look at that stage, you know you're expect something right.
Thank you. Mr. Newton.
I just want to make sure that if we get something acrylic, I worry 15 years from now, somebody inadvertently cleans it with something that peels it back. They make a thing, Lou, called oxidized aluminum plaques. They're black on silver, but they're permanent. And if somebody makes a mistake or bumps, kids are rolling a cart across the stage and they hit wherever it is, it won't affect something like that. I just want to make sure we do something a little better. I don't know. I just think acrylic, I'm worried about acrylic. I've seen carts go into them, people pushing stuff around stage, something bumps it, it cracks it.
Okay.
I just, if we're going to do this, we should do it correct.
Mr. Flirt's going to fundraise, so maybe we can chat.
Matt, we just need to do something more permanent, if you know what I mean. I'm worried about chemicals in the future. Cleaning, somebody honestly trying to do the right thing. Next, where did that streak come from? It's like, so I just want to put that out there.
Go ahead.
If I can speak. I'm Adrian. I actually didn't even know that this was happening. I just found out today, but I just wanted to say a few words from the student perspective. The idea of someone like Mr. Clark seems almost impossible. He goes out of his way every single day to make sure that every individual within the school is seen and comfortable. In fact, one of his famous quotes is, "People won't remember what you said. People may not even remember your name, but they will remember how you made them feel." This is extremely evident throughout not only the daily life of Mr. Clark's classes, but even throughout the alumni and parents, as evidently seen. And I'm ecstatic that Mr. Connolly and Mr. Plord are leading the charge, and I'm sure many more students would fight to get this proper recognition. If I had it my way, I'd make sure that there was like a statue of him just like right there. But like, I don't know if we could get the funds for that, but I'm so happy that this is happening.
Thank you. Ava?
Okay, one final comment. I feel like a lot of people already talked about how he is as a teacher, but just as a person, he's always there for his students. He's always there for everyone in the building. He always makes sure you feel supported. Even today, like I had a rough day in chamber. The next period went by, I was just sitting in my class and he ended up coming to my class, checking in on me, talking to me, asking like what was going on and if I needed anything from him. So he's really just such a huge support in the school, and I can't think of a better way to honor the impact he made on Newington High School. And I think this is a great way to honor him and honor everything he does for his students, everything he does for the school as a whole.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, as we end this love fest here, but there'll be more celebrations, as I said. And I just want to give a special shout out to Ms. 4 Hour, who put 3 girls through all of her, and was head of our music boosters for our performing arts boosters for a long time. So thank you so much for all the work you did. It's not unnoticed, by the way. And just like as a point of personal privilege too, my love was in How to Succeed. And honestly, I quote this all the time, but I was like, "Oh, Mr. Clark, you're going to be at our wedding." Mr. Connolly's coming. And they kind of know that. They're still waiting. It's going to happen. Don't worry. But, that's where I think, we fell in love in Pippin. And he was there sewing my costume like nights before, adjusting as like the woodland nymph that I was. And there's no one who paid better attention to everything that was happening. And anyone who's been in a show knows the chaos that happens behind the scenes, behind the stage. It looks seamless on stage. And I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's been involved in being able to do that. I know there were many who wanted to send in emails and all these kinds of things, people who no longer live in Newington. And I would say the impact is not just a generation, it's multiple generations. Like we're gonna have kids coming out here, and when Matt and I are old, the next 40 years from now, people will still be talking about their experiences with Mr. Clark, and we'll get to say, I knew him, and that's the stage that's named after him. And I think that's a beautiful thing, as all of them become Broadway stars, obviously. But just to say too, to our latest cast, who was incredible, thank you for speaking to the current student perspective too, because I think one of the things is just to know that, Mr. Clark isn't, he's not slowing down. He didn't slow down with the last one. I mean, he literally flew down to Florida to get the costumes from the original Broadway show, to be able to kind of show just the dedication. Got everyone's measurements before. This was just above and beyond. And I think it just shows that, there are special educators, as we saw tonight, and there are just some educators that are above and beyond. And I think Mr. Holland put it very well, that truly lifts up the stage. We may just have to lift up the stage again. And we did talk about, his name in lights, literally, and that kind of stuff as well. But I would just want to say thank you to those that have come and spoken out about their support. And would just, if there's any other board members, I know this is all happy, lovey feely, but if there's any other concerns or anything like that, please let us know. But I think I'm hearing a good consensus. So I want to say thank you to those who have provided their support.
Yeah, I definitely support this. Especially if there's going to be like chaos. If there's no, just kidding. But yeah, and then I'm sure I trust Lou. It will get the best material possible, and we do not need to vote, but there's definitely
consensus around the table that this is definitely something that we do want to move forward with, and we think it's a fantastic idea to celebrate the long career of an excellent educator. So thank you all for being here and for speaking, and we appreciate it. A statue?
Well, I know, I was like, we got a bus.
Just like a life size. You like explore that.
All right, now moving on to our budget 25-26 discussion and possible action.
All right.
Dr. Brumett.
Thank you. I'll kick it off and then I may ask Lou to fill in some of the blanks. So since our last meeting, I did send an email out at the request of the board chair and vice chair about any suggestions that the board might have relative to further suggested cuts. And we did hear from several board members. So I did ask which were absolutely considered, and we did prepare a memo for the board, which I'm posting right here on the screen. So this is kind of late breaking because some of the requests came in and we were just working on this today. But Lou, if you wouldn't mind going through briefly what was suggested and whether or not it would be something that we could recommend based on the current status of the budget.
Of the two memos, or the two sets of requests that came in, one detailed specific line items to look at. The other was more general perspectives. In the memo that you have on the screen, I did the detailed first earlier today. So there were 7 line items that were up to consideration for what was suggested for options for being able to reduce the budget. First two were the ed tech area, and the first one was reducing 5% of the contract services area. Excuse me, contract services. This is the Newington area, or from the ed tech area, and this was a combination of Chromebooks that were supplemental to the regular allocation to buy every year because of the continued difficulties with damages, and now we're looking at the life cycle we had hoped for the devices. So earlier in the budget review sessions, $100,000 was cut from this. That was additional reliance we put on the insurance funds for giving us the extra Chromebooks. So I left $150,000 Chromebooks here, and then $22,500 for the first of iPads for selected use across the district. This is both for students in the special area that have specific software that only runs on iPads, as well as several for the staff who are, supporting the students who are in these situations. So as we look at it, since there's already $100,000 cut, at this point, I did not see recommending further cuts to that. Otherwise, we get into more challenging situations. Well, if we're really short on Chromebooks, where do we go next? And it's the difficulty of priority setting for the district. The second item was on the 731 line item, which is replacement equipment. So these are things that we have. And this is primarily for docking stations, which are used by all the teachers around the district in their classrooms, that allows them to integrate their computer with the AV systems with other technology devices like a special microscope type of digital camera. Camera that they use in the class. So when these fail, all the technology goes out, so we have to bring in a new docking station for it. In addition, there are occasions where we need to replace display units across the district, not necessarily at this size, but for classroom settings where we need to spend $200 to $300 to bring in additional display equipment to replace things that have failed or the pixels have gone bad. So I felt that we could do a little bit of a cut in this area, and I was going with 10% factor of $1,300 of the $13,000 budget allocation is what, I felt was appropriate. Okay. The next item is in the music program for the 2 middle schools. And the question was specifically for Martin Kellogg, but it applied to both Martin Kellogg and John Wallace. There is a special software package called Make Music that is used by all the band members, the teacher, and performers that are associated with the bands at the schools. So these are annual subscriptions running anywhere from $20 to $40 per student subscriber or staff member subscriber. And looking at the count of licenses needed for next year for both schools, the budget was essentially appropriate for both at this point. So I couldn't recommend cutting this because it would be, and we're making choices in the classroom. Not everybody would necessarily get the software license, or the other types of compromises or strategies would need to be used in order to fully deploy it, what they want to do. Okay, next is media library, line 642. This is where the book collection is managed, where every year each school gets an allowance for updating the titles in the library, replacing damaged or old books, as well as branching out the collection and new aspects that are supportive of what the curriculum are. On this, the request was, can we do a 10% cut in this area on an $80,000 budget? I felt 5% after looking at the allocations for the school was achievable on this, so that'll be $4,000 on that. Next, in the building direction account, there are 2 items for the 690 line item. One is Martin Kellogg, the other is the high school. That account is specifically used for student-supported events and some general supplies just for running the building. At the high school, some of the speaker costs and the events that they run throughout the year for their special activities that go on are financed through that particular area. At Martin Kellogg, they had book fair, some T-shirts, and one other event day, I can't remember it off the top of my head, were the really 3 driving factors of it. If a cut was requested for this area, I'm not sure it would be a thing that you could pare down across the board. Probably one of the activities would be lost if that was the direction. So in this area, $2,000 or $3,000 cuts I felt were supportable without, compromising the goals and the things that the schools wanted to do. So putting those all together was $10,300 of cuts, which can be recommended, and that's part of one of the other documents coming up for the reconciliation of the overall budget.
Can I just stop you real quick? The library media, is that the line item we cut a significant amount where we cut the 1B items but left 1A? Right,
All the 1Bs were
Yeah.
cut.
all the 1Bs were cut. So then if we cut an additional $4,000,
Right, there's only
what is
1A
that?
level.
There would be, yeah, so
Yeah.
I think I don't know about what that means. I don't know, Kristen, if you have any idea, like what that means we wouldn't get if we cut that for another additional 4,000, because I know we already made a significant cut to that line item.
Okay, I don't have really.
Yeah, I'm asking what your opinion is.
I know that last year, this time, when there needed to be some reconciliation with some funds that were not provided to the Board of Education, some of that was withdrawn from the library media. I think sometimes it's an easier area to go through because they don't line item the text that they want. They make those decisions based on the populations of students. What I would ask the board to consider is the presentation that the library media department brought to the board and talking about why they are in need of funds to meet the needs of the students that are now in front of us, which is a changing population.
Yeah.
Okay. So then just summarizing the first group of requests to review, felt that $10,300 of cuts could be accomplished without, really, inflicting difficult choices on the school. And I also just mentioned again, the 150,000 on the Chromebooks, so depending on the direction the board chooses to go, that obviously could be cut, but there are real implications for doing that. But that's the only one real core of money that was spoken to within the context of the request we got to review. Okay. The second item we got was considering the approach of a blanket 0.5% cut of all the non-salary areas in the budget. So right now, the overall budget adopted by the town, $91,613,000. Our payroll is just under $56 million for next year, which leaves $35 million for everything else. So 0.5% of that would be $178,705 of cuts to take advantage of that strategy. I had not gotten to the point of trying to ascertain where we could do it, where we could not do it at this point. We did have the good fortune that you'll see in the summary for the Nor'easters grant we got, which makes a $100,000 cut go away because that's going to be supplemented by the grant funds for next year. So without going any further, we started the non-lapsing fund in the original motion 2 weeks ago at $338,000. It's now $74,000, and what the revised motion will show when we get to that. That's here. So much less digging in and having to use more of the non-lapsing funds. So we were able to mitigate about 3/4 of it that's there. So what Dr. Brumman's bringing up right now is just the tracking of the budget entries. And then further down is the additional new recommended motions at this point. So that's a little bit further along.
All right, as soon as I can get my computer to unfreeze. Oh, no, it's going too fast. So just so the board recalls, this document is a cascading alliteration of what the board had already cut throughout our budget process. So those are still summarized here, back in February. But that does bring us to where we are right now. And I believe that starts
At 5.94%. Right above the blue line is where we left off.
right. So at 5.9% was that what the board brought forward to the town, and that was approved. Now we're faced with the $650,000 cut.
Right.
So some of the things that are still recommended are from last time because they really don't. They're just basically reductions. The anthem adjustment, we have two of them, one for $49,178 and the other for $43,320. As a reminder, we get the budget is when it passes a snapshot in time, and many things happen between February and May. And in fact, between those two timeframes, we were able to realize an adjustment that was provided to us by the agent of record isn't something that we are cutting and, to no avail. This is basically cutting because we've been told we can. So between those two reductions, that brings us down to 5.73%. We also mentioned last time, and this still is holding up, Mr. Farisi and his team have been able to hire very high quality staff that are coming in at a lower price point or salary point than we thought would happen, given the high shortage. I'd like to thank his department because I think it's the recruitment efforts as well as the desirability of our district play into that, because we are having met all candidates. We're getting some high caliber candidates, but we are getting them at a lower cost. So we feel very comfortable recommending that $100,000 can come off of next year's salary line due to those lower cost new hires. So that would bring us to 5.62%. The board was also notified a few weeks ago that we are likely going to get a health benefit credit. Now that has been known to shrink at the last time I presented it to the board, it was about 250,000, Lou. It'd be ill-advised to plan on all of that because that credit can go down as health insurance is, used by our staff and that's what it's designed for. But we feel comfortable recommending that we could use the health benefit credit in next year's budget to offset our legal fees. So again, that would be $100,000 less, and that would reduce our budget down to 5.5%. We are fortunate right now that we have had, and frankly, it's in large part due to a lot of vacant paraprofessional positions. We feel we will have some realized savings at the end of the year. And as we've said before, what the budget looks like in February when we have to pass it, where it looks now is you're getting closer to the end of the year and you have more confidence in what might be remaining. So we feel comfortable in doing some minimal buy aheads on some equipment. And these are one-time purchases that, are, I think, well suited to a buy ahead. And I will be very transparent in telling you that the not the NHS equipment, my apologies, the John Wallace equipment we've had to already buy. It was chairs for a conference room and they were unsafe. So we did have to buy those. So they're no longer in the budget. But these we feel we can buy the E-Green, which is playground equipment, Anna Reynolds is playground equipment. Newington High School is some much needed chairs that are also falling apart and hazardous in one of our classrooms at the high school. So if we were to buy those ahead now, that would create a small reduction of about 5.48%. Additionally, we believe that there are some subscriptions that we could safely buy ahead. Some of these are 3-year subscriptions, so they won't have that trickle-down effect next year. They'll be 3 years out. That would be about $68,000. And then lastly, we were very pleased to get the Nor'easter Academy grant today. Literally, I got a letter today in my inbox. And that, as the board knows, that was something that I put in one of my presentations that if we had known that sooner, it would have been in budget already as an offset, but we just found out today. So we were awarded $100,000 and Lou has deducted that. Lou, are those salary lines or what are those? So those are salary lines for the staff that do that extra assignment for after the school. As you know, that program runs Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at our high school. So that $100,000 reduction brings us down to 5.29%. And then we just mentioned additional cuts that were discussed as board suggestions. These are what Lou brought forward. There may be some further discussion about library books. I don't know. And then this really does, and I did hear that from some board member comments, that they really want to see that reliance on the non-lapsing fund reduced even further. So this additional cut to make it happen would only require leveraging $74,150 of the non-lapsing fund. So all of these together get us down to the 5.19%, or that reduction of $650,000 that the town did put forth at their last meeting when they approved the budget. So I'll turn it back over to board chair to entertain any questions or comments.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that, the buy aheads, it's always kind of a tricky discussion. And I know, like, as we've gone through budget books in previous years, it's like, why is there a huge increase in this particular line item? And it's because we pre-purchased a subscription or pre-purchased supplies, whatever the case may be. So buy aheads are for transparency. And I talked to Dr. Brummer about this earlier. For transparency, ideally, it's like a one-time purchase. Like, these would be perfect buy aheads, chairs, stools that are in the budget now, but can be purchased with realized savings from this year's budget. So that's that. And then I also want to say that I don't know if you have an updated like reliance on non-lapsing, but the, for this year's budget, but the budget process, just the way we have to do it is, also tricky. It's fluid. The budget is fluid. It's never a, it's a point in time, as Dr. Brummett said. It's not, we can't be perfect right off the bat, and we can't say in February exactly what's going to be the case in July. So I just don't want people to think like, oh, like, we're hiding money or we're like trying to be sketchy. Like, it's none of that. Like the grant, literally I saw the email that came this morning at 8 something, that we got that $100,000. And if that had come tomorrow, we wouldn't have had that information and we wouldn't have been able to do this adjustment. But I do want to close this piece of our process because literally every day something could change. And when it does change, like we have our number from the town, when it does change, we adjust. And just like your household budget, if your furnace goes or you need a new car, you have to adjust. So we just need to set it. And then every month we'll get an update on where we stand with the budget. And if there's questions and if we want to add like every month and a budget agenda item just for, full transparency, I think that's fine. But for this process, like literally tomorrow, something could change and then we'd have to talk, I just think we should settle it. And then I just will say, I mentioned it earlier, I don't think that we should cut the 4,000 from the media books, just given, what we know, our equity efforts and the work that our librarians do to ensure that every child is seen. We've already cut that line item a lot as we were going through for valid reason. I just feel like another $4,000 is just an extra, it's not fair. I just think that we should keep that as is and redistribute that $4,000 to the non-lapsing. Ms. Weaver.
Just want to say thanks to Ms. Carr for heeding my ask and asking for specific line items. And also to the administration for kind of rejiggering all of this. I want to say thanks to Lou and Dr. Brummett and the team as a whole for going back and looking at this. And I've been asking about this grant for a while and I was like, oh, how's it going? Are we going to get it? And I just want to say thank you to the staff, I presume Sonia or whoever, who had written this grant. It's huge. That's huge. $100,000 grant. And that's why, said back in February, said back in March, I was like, this budget will change. And that's a huge line item for a great program, by the way. So I'm very excited about that. And just want to note too, I spent the weekend with a lot of other young electeds from across the country, talking about their school boards, looking also to other ones as my sister looks for a job in the education space, and many of them are passing their budgets next week by referendum. Some pass them in other forms or another. Weathersfield has their vote next week on Tuesday. So all of this is as late breaking news as it can get, and I think that's one of the struggles. Is trying to convey how we are beholden to a process that is not exactly ideal for how we want to budget this, and appreciate us moving along with the art and science that it is. And I would just kind of echo those sentiments. I think it's good to do buy-aheads that are one time or the 3-year subscription, I think that's sustainable budgeting. I think making sure that we are doing the right thing. So just wanted to uplift that. And I think, I don't want to cut the media a little more, would be my sentiment. And I think that's all I have to say.
I just was going to clarify the line items I selected have nothing to do with me not liking the line items. Specifically, I was looking at based on inflation and based on what the asking was, if it was an appropriate amount of an increase. So for example, line 69010, which I had suggested reducing from 17,500 to 15,500. It was still above last year's 10,500. So it's still getting a 5,000 bump. I don't want people to think, oh no, these totals are going down. Same thing with line 69020, reducing from 36,940 to 32,940. I know Lou suggested 33,940. Again, still above from 27,950. In regards to the media library sources, I know it had been cut down. I know it's still up from last year's 21,055. So that's based on how I went through it. I went line item by line item to see where we could improve, because my whole concern when we first, saw this document 2 weeks ago was depending on the non-lapsing fund for 366,545. I'm glad to see it's much improved now, given all the recent information we have and some of these cuts.
Thank you. I know you like library books. I wasn't trying to imply that. But thank you for the detail and the response. It's definitely much appreciated. Ms. We can go around let's just go around the table. You can go last.
Just very quickly, again, thank you for everybody's hard work. I know this is very, very, very challenging, but I just would like to make a point, again, regarding the $4,000 of library funds. I feel like anything that we can do to restore that to our budget is something that we really should do. All of our education for our students, the foundation is our library. And this is the biggest item or the biggest service that we provide to every single one of our students. Every student in the Newington Public Schools participates and gets an unbelievable amount of education from the services from our media centers. And I think any cut to that would be a disservice to our students. So I would encourage everybody, when thinking about this, restore that $4,000 to the media budget.
Thanks, Mary. Mr. Newton?
Having a different view because I was on the curriculum committee, I think that we're doing a disservice if we take from the library media. This is just me personally, because we have such a diverse population and it's ever changing that we can't fall behind on what they need. And I don't know if I like cutting books. That just, I looked at every book she put in front of me. She knows that, but I just, we do have a diverse population. I think we get ourselves in trouble when we use terms, and then all of a sudden the blinders and the blocks go up on all of us, because we all have different opinions of them. I think if we steered more towards the basis based on the book needs or based on the needs of our student population and leave it at that, I think that there'd be less animosity and more support. Keep it.
Thank you. Tony, do you have any comments? Go around the table. Okay. Mr. Holleran?
So looking at everything under item 10, when we put the media center book collections, the school activities for Barn Kellogg's and Newington High School, am I reading this correct to say that that has a 0.01% effect on the budget? All those together only affect the budget by 0.01%?
Yeah.
So I agree. I don't think we should touch the media center budget. I think at our last meeting, one of the things that was really important to me was that we don't suffer our staff. Like, we don't have issues with jobs, and we also don't suffer the quality of the education. I think the media center probably does affect the quality of education, right? Like, I think that is a direct effect. And I could almost say that the school activities too. So, I do appreciate the work, and I think, Brittany, you're really smart about going through the inflation and seeing the proportional. I think part of that story too is that we're kind of paying the piper from sacrifices we've made in previous years, and we're trying to catch up a little bit. So it's probably not a direct one-to-one ratio. But I almost, for $10,000, it almost seems like it is a hard pill to swallow to save 10 grand.
Ms. Weaver?
No, I'll just know I did the math. I think you did the math. It would be like 15,006, what was it? If we put that and transferred it to the non-lapsing fund.
Just the media books though.
So, I mean, I'm not saying it's de minimis, but it's close to de minimis in terms of a $91 million budget of, like the percentage of that I'm just looking at. You know, I completely understand too. And again, we're reducing that. So to Ms. Carr's point, we originally had the reliance on the non-lapsing fund to be 366,545. And I certainly appreciate the thought process there was to get everything that made the most sense of still above, but yeah, I mean, I think if there's, I don't know if there's points of contention there. I certainly agree with the media center collections. Does the school activities change much?
Yeah, do we know exactly what that's for, Lou? The
Which
school.
one?
You had mentioned
The
it
two
and
school
I
act-
apologize.
The two school activities,
Oh, sure. Hang on one second.
line items, like cutting 2,000 from Kellogg and 3,000. Is that like Battle of the Books?
Well, I didn't determine which one should be cut. It's just I can tell you what was in the budget pages.
Okay.
And it would be turned back to the principal, make the
Okay.
changes that they would want.
I guess my question would be, is anyone amenable to maybe taking that 10,000 and transferring it to the non-lapsing, which would be dispersed throughout? So it would be, instead of 74,150, it would be 84,450. I'm just saying in terms of a $650,000 cut, I don't think that is going to move the needle, but it could move the needle for kids who do Battle of the Books.
Okay, I'm ready to respond.
Okay, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Over at Martin Kellogg, which is one of the two schools, they had $2,500 for Battle of the Books. They had $2,000 for intramural/recess equipment. They had $4,000 for office supplies. They had $2,000 for refreshments for events. They had $2,000 for the school store and $5,000 for staff/student t-shirt for whatever the events are. Over at the high school, they had $400 for clear backpacks for kids with meds. I'm not exactly sure if that's a nursing support item or exactly what that is. They had $6,000 for Spirit Week/advisory activities. They had holiday gifts for $2,500. They had something called AM Awards. I'm not familiar with what that is at the high school. $3,000 for that.
The breakfast.
Scholar breakfast.
Okay. Then they had various snacks and other, plastics, papers for events that they do in the school routinely for $5,000. They had ink and postage for the postage meter, $300, laminator supplies for $150, plaques from Johnston's, which I presume mostly are associated with the year-end graduation every year for $4,000. Snacks for the Nor'easters program. They had $4,000 for replacement office furniture, chairs, broken mats around the school, and $3,000 for office supplies. So that's the package of things you would have gotten.
Yeah, I guess. We either ran that. What else are we thinking? The squeaking?
Sorry.
So Mr. Farisi? Oh, sorry, Mr. Newton.
I support the books. I don't necessarily, I think there's some things that they could cut down on in the list that was just mentioned, that it won't impact one specific area that much. I support the 4,000. I don't know if I can support the 10. I just think that we're adding other things on.
Yeah.
We can look and look and look, but the books are tools they have to have.
Okay. I think that's fair. Mr. Halloran?
No, I agree with Mr. New, and I think when it comes to the library, I like how you brought up the curriculum committee, looking at all the changing and diverse needs of our population and being able to serve them, and it's moving quickly. I think it's critical. Yeah, I agree. I think there is maybe some wiggle room with the activity fees. And my question would be, like, if we impact that, does that put pressure on the PACs and the PTAs to try to fill that gap for some of those things? And do they have the means to do that?
I mean, I would guess that they're not going to remove Battle of the Books and they're not going to
No way.
remove intramural sports.
On the record.
So
Some
I think,
snacks in there that.
yeah, I think so, as long as like, and I'm sure Dr. Brummett will keep an eye on it. If Battle of the Books doesn't happen, then, but yeah, I think that there's probably wiggle room, and if there's a desperate need, then
Yeah.
they'll probably make it work. Ms. Beatrice?
The one point that I just wanted to make is the $2,000 for intramural sports supplies. We had a long conversation at this board about supporting intramural sports. And so $2,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to the numbers that we're talking about. And I feel strongly that we should restore that $2,000 to support a program that we stated we would support. So again, it's a small amount, but I think it's a meaningful amount.
I think that the whole line item was 17.5, so it would be down to 15.5. So there's still money, and that's what I was saying, is that as long as intramural sports is still happening and Battle of the Books and some of the like the ones that impact the students, I think as long as we can just get validation that it's won't impact our students by decreasing by $2,000, and we can go ahead with it. On the record, Dr. Brummett.
All right, let
no
me turn
pressure.
the mic on. No, I think that it makes good sense. Yes, while those items are in there, such as the intramurals, the principal then would ultimately be able to say, well, chances are they're going to maybe cut back on office supplies versus intramural supplies. And certainly
Or t-shirts or.
Battle of the Books will prevail over snacks at a meeting. So I do think our principals will make good decisions about where they would see the cuts needing to happen. And certainly we would never, I'm certain that they would not cut something that the students highly value, such as Battle of the Books or our intramural program. I'm very confident in that.
Thanks. Ms. Weaver.
Yeah, I think just with that exception, I think I'm supportive of all these cuts that we need to do anyway. And just would ask if there's any folks that aren't supportive of any of the other cuts, but I think these make sense. I appreciate the staff putting those in. Obviously, the first couple, I think it was like the first 284,997 we were good with. This parsing down, obviously a huge win for the Nor'easters Academy being $100,000. Then we're dealing with around 260,000. And then we've cut from there. So I'm supportive of those and would love to move it forward if there's no concern or opposition to that, but.
We didn't prepare a motion, but what could be recommended is that the board could vote to, or make a motion to adopt these cuts with the amendments just discussed. And then you wouldn't have to go line by line as has been done in the past. Although I know Ms. Weaver may be disappointed in that, but it would just certainly make it a little bit more smooth. And I believe we've got on the record that the board has recommended that the books be restored, but that those other cuts under item number 10 remain, and that the non-lapsing fund would absorb that 4,000 by rolling those numbers up a little bit more, which Lou can certainly do. So that would be the amended part. So I'll turn it back over to board chair for next steps.
Yes, okay. I'll just send you an updated screenshot of that so you can post it up there forever.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
just give me 1 second.
He's actively
See that L in there? That's
15:6:30.
That's Lou. And the A is Amy.
Yeah, I'm in there too.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Or la. Okay, so yeah, we can do a motion.
Great.
It's on the screen right now as presented.
Yes, I would, do you want me to say the total too? I can say.
If you have it.
Yeah, that's fine. So move the updated 2025-2026 Newington Board of Education budget reconciliation as amended and shown on screen to total the amount of excuse me, $91,613,371 or 5.19%.
91,609.
Yeah, 4,000 up. I'm looking at that.
91,609,371, I'm so sorry.
What did I do wrong? I took 4,000 out.
Adjustments.
I was gonna say.
Oh, I see what happened here. Okay.
This one.
That's just the sound of my mouth, right?
I'm so sorry. Apologies to the public. We're hearing a very loud beeping noise that is of concern.
Why did that not work? Oh, I know what I did here. That's why. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so.
We're all better.
Who seconded it?
Who seconded it?
So the now-
Oh, I did not, but I will second.
You can reload it, it'll be corrected.
Okay. So it's 91,613,371.
Yep.
5.19%.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjust our budget as discussed. Is there any further discussion? Thank you, Brittany and Tim, for sending in your suggestions. Deb, would you please, just make sure Anastasia didn't, nope. Please do a roll call vote.
Mary Beatrice,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Sean Halloran,
Yes.
Nancy Gilling,
Yes.
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 Jessica Weaver,
Yes.
Anastasia,
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to our use of school building fees.
And that would go to Mr. Jakomowitz. There it is.
Okay, every year, as part of the board setting of rates for each year, we bring forward a recommendation to the group for, how much to increase our building use fees by on a percentage basis. This affects Schedules B and C of the 4 different schedules within the policy 1310 for use of school facilities. In the last few years, we've had 0.5% increases considered. We started at 1 and then we kind of moved down to a in-between rate. So this year I gave you, 2 different rates, 3.5 and a 4.5. With our labor costs really mostly in the 4% range this year, and all the other, inflation and other issues hitting all the other support costs. 4.5% is appropriate. 3.5% is also appropriate if the board wants to deliver, something better to the community. Either one is fine. It's really a matter of how the board wants to move forward with these and, getting 100%, or we're going to get 80 to 90% of the value of our expenses.
Ms. Weaver?
Thanks, Lou. One, just to clarify for public what we did last year for building fees, and then 2, kind of like budget impact, I'm assuming, again, de minimis from
Well, 3.5% is what was done
last year.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and in the building use area, somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 of billables that happen each year.
Okay.
So if you think of 1% of that is $2,000 over the whole base, that's kind of the range you're looking at. It's not much significant to the overall revenue base of the board.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. Have you heard of any community pushback? If we were to raise it would that be an obstacle for community groups to take advantage of our?
I have not heard one thing.
Okay.
At all in the last 4 or 5 years, so. It's
Okay.
been good.
So it would be,
They view it as fair, I would say.
it would be fair. Okay, yeah. So there's no obstacles. Thank you.
So 3.5 versus would 4 be okay too? Okay.
Yeah, have whatever you want. I just don't have it item by item for what, we just recalibrate the results and post them on that, but 3.5, 4.5, or 4 if that's negotiated settlement.
So you're saying that if we did 4.5, we'd 100% cover
Yes.
what it costs to
The
open the
incremental
buildings
from year to
and,
year, yes.
okay, and then at 3.5, we're only making back like 80% of what it, like, because we have to pay janitors and to keep the
Correct.
school open.
Right.
And obviously the cleaning supplies and
Yep.
other
That's a big
supplies.
driver.
We would lose money if we did 3.5 or 4. Go ahead, Ms. Weaver.
Sorry, just to clarify too, so it's 4.5%, but if we're looking at like average cost of it for a community group and we have this, we still have the tiered system, is that correct too, for like nonprofits versus?
Correct, there's nonprofit,
Church,
profit.
yeah, okay,
You have 4 groups in total.
right,
Park and Rec is one all to themselves. They just reimburse the board for the actual cost for having people.
Right.
There are any special expenses that have to be
Okay.
paid. You have a no charge group, which is if a community organization that's sanctioned nonprofit that's associated with the town, like if the town community wanted to have a meeting with some food service, they wanted to do it at the high school just because they're gonna have a lot of people. Those would be no charge events. Then you get into the outside groups that are here. So when you have nonprofits coming from other places or other origins, they would be paying off Schedule C, and then for-profit entities would be paying off Schedule D. So that gives us the basic breakdown, and they do a good job of covering really everybody. We don't, I can't remember the last time there was a situation we couldn't address fairly with any of the groups that we work with.
all right, so 4.5% is how we just break even.
I'm sorry?
4.5 is how we break even.
Yes.
So 4% would be 90% coverage? or
Yes.
whatever?
Mhm.
Okay. Do we have which way we're leaning? Thoughts on 4.5 versus,
You want to do 4?
I want the one in the middle.
that was an option.
I think 4.5 is a big number to some people regardless. I think we can justify 4. Everybody sees the Dow every day. The F says everything's up 4%, everything's up 3.75. I think if we go to 4 and then maybe next year look at 4.5 because of increased costs or whatever.
That's fine.
But we don't
So we
want
did 3.5.
sticker shock either.
We did 3.5 last year.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Move the Board of Education increase the building use fees by 4% for the 2025-2026 school year effective July 1, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, vote to raise the building use fees by 4%. Deb, would you please call the roll vote?
Yes.
Brittany Carr,
Yes.
Tom Halloran,
Yes.
Anthony Maley,
Yes.
Anastasia,
Yes.
Amy Cole,
Yes.
Sam Sharma,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver,
Yes.
Anastasia Yap.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Right, moving on to, oh, yes. Ms.
Sorry,
Carr?
I just had one more comment about that. I know in policy, we talked about putting the fee schedule as part of the policy and linking it that way. My thought is also on the website, under facilities usage, we have the external rental application, maybe just putting a section under there so it's easy for people to see, or any input regarding that, but I printed out so people can see because I feel like it gets lost in translation.
Thank you. Yes, good idea. Okay, board meeting schedule for 25-26. So we just have to set the meeting schedule for next school year. Obviously, if we need a special meeting or anything, or a conflict arises in the future, we can modify the schedule, but this is just so we have the meeting set and dates will be posted. It was reviewed several times for holidays and there's not, as far as I know, no conflicts. No known conflicts. So yeah, this is the schedule. Hopefully most of us will be here still. We'll see.
Okay, here we go, guys. Okay. Move the Board of Education approve the following meeting dates for the 2025-2026 school year. September 10th, 2025, September 24th, 2025, October 15th, 2025, October 29th, 2025, November 12th, 2025, December 10th, 2025, January 14th, 2026, January 28th, 2026, February 11th, 2026, February 25th, 2026, March 11th, 2026, March 25th, 2026, April 8th, 2026, April 22nd, 2026, May 6th, 2026, May 27th, 2026, June 10th, 2026.
Second.
Second.
Too late. Brittany second.
Thank you for
I know you're missing that from the budget. All right, and then I'll just say March 25th is Charlotte's 5th birthday, so we'll have to have a little party for her. Okay. Any further discussion?
Okay. Mary Beatrice,
Yes.
Brittany Carr,
Yes.
John Halloran,
Yes.
Anthony Manley.
Yes.
Timothy Newton,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver,
Yes.
Anastasia Yap.
Yes.
The motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. All right, board policies. Ms. Weaver, would you like to run with this?
Absolutely would love to. And I know my policy amazing team would love to as well. And I'll be quick, just given the time. But these are all just for review, so nothing voting on, but we just wanted to bring these to the board. These were over the course of the last meetings, but last met on April 28th. As always, Ms. Carr, Ms. Beatrice, and Mr. Frusi are the absolute best crew there is in town and across the state. So first, we have one from the 1,000 series, the community relations one. This was 1211. We just wanted to bring this to the board. We waited on this one because we wanted to be sure in light of some of the conversations we had around budget time about booster clubs and our liability. At first, we wanted to make sure that we were waiving our liability, but we do that by paying for insurance policies that come under the umbrella policy. So thank you to Mr. Giacomowitz for bringing that. And it's not actually in the policy when it comes to what our liability is. It's if you scroll down more in the actual regulation. So the actual policy is right there, very short, and then the regulation itself. And what we did was just change that part of section 5 where we require review of records, booster clubs annually submitting financial statements. We collaborated with Mr. Myers and Mr. Giacomowitz about how that all goes and if that was reflective of standard practice, just making sure we codified that into this regulation. And if you scroll down even more, sorry, this is just where, again, we had points 9 and 10, making sure that we have a point of contact for booster clubs as well as how to fundraise and what that looks like, again, linked to another policy. But that last one, oh, this is not the actual one. Oh. Yeah, I'm so sorry. This didn't get put in the agenda. It's fine. We'll note that last line has changed. Again, that's not what we'd actually vote on next time. This is just the regulation. If we scroll back up the policy itself, it does not say that. I apologize in the regulation, but we do say that we note that boards, booster clubs they have not waived liability, but we have insurance coverage for them should anything occur. So all the way back up, if that's possible, is the policy. We just put that. Yes, Mr. Holland.
Just a quick question.
Yep.
For the last line where you added within reason, which I think is good.
Yeah.
It gets specific. Could we not just say administrators and staff shall seek to strengthen and support booster organizations by cooperating to provide assistance? Just cut it off there to keep it a little bit more
That's
broad.
fine. Yeah, that's,
Because I feel like within reason starts debate of like, well, what's
yeah, we
reasonable?
were like, well, yeah, no, that's fine.
It's fine the way it is. I just feel like if we could probably just chop that off.
Yeah, we'll bring that back and then we can bring it back here with those edits. Thank you.
Also take away in any way possible or just?
Yeah.
Yeah, take
Take away
away
that whole part.
in any way possible within reason would be the cut.
Yeah. You're more than welcome at our policy meetings.
If I had more hours in the day, I love the
You don't
policy
wanna spend 3
committee. I'm
hours with us,
jealous. You guys, this is my language. Words matter, right?
All right. Any other comments on that one? We'll move to the 3000 series. As always, I was just noting that we are trying to renumber as well as, so these are the original numbers still, so we'll come back with actual proposals to renumber. Every one of them starts with a goals and objectives, so we try and give a more outline policy. So this was the first one, goals and objectives. This one was just a couple changes to it, but really it was about making sure that we changed some of the adjectives. We changed excellent to prudent, which I think was Ms. Carr's thing. Responsible financial management. Wanted to make sure instead of just management. And also making sure that we thought the word extract greatest educational returns was a bit violent. So achieving the greatest educational returns within the ability of the community to pay. So obviously we understand, when it comes to our budget, we want to make sure they have the ability to pay for this. So if we keep scrolling, we cut a line about, we kind of incorporated that, maintain the highest level of unit expenditure needed to provide high quality education. Just so folks know, I think it gets very confusing when we have the per pupil spending and those kinds of things, or what the level of unit expenditure is. That's incredibly hard to define, and it's not consistent or apples to apples across districts. And we felt that probably wasn't the best use of that. So we wanted to make sure we kind of incorporate that into line 3. And then we also note that Dr. Brummett always gives us the expenditures and revenues of the board. Those are always on the board agendas for at least quarterly. I think we get it monthly. So we just wanted to know how that was reflective of current practice. And committee members, please stop me if I miss anything. Okay, let's keep going. We got a million other ones. 3,000, whatever, 3100, budgeting system. And this wasn't touched since 2001. Ms. Carr, do you have something to say about this? Yeah, we'll bring this one back, but we weren't sure about the date on this one. So this is current policy. We just wanted to let everyone know that this is current policy. And that one of the things is that might not always be possible. So again, this was established in 2001. Things have changed. So we'll bring this one back with actual timelines and that kind of stuff. 3110 is budget planning. We didn't really have anything for this one, so we won't be making any changes to that. It was last updated in January 2025, so we felt pretty confident in that one. Felt confident in how we felt in January on that one. Listen, policy is also fluid. 3160, transfer of funds between categories. This was we updated this one. It's literally a line. It's reflective of general statutes. But we added that we shall vote on said transfers, which is again reflective of current practice. Those recall we have voted on budget transfers within the budget. That's that. 3171-1 was an appendix. Just so you know, we're removing this. So the next one is a removal from the policy manual because it was a MOU from 2016 with the town council that I don't believe has anything. So we're not saying it's moot, it's just not applicable to current.
So the policy was
This is a non-lapsing
implementing the
agreement.
non-lapsing
Yeah, it's,
account.
yeah, we just were like, we could have that in a different place. So it's not removing the accuracy of the MOU of saying like, that's when the establishment of the non-lapsing fund happened. We just don't think that really needs to be in the policy manual. It could be somewhere else in our budget documents or those kinds of things if needed. And I know we have more current MOUs as well. So just thought it was a little weird. And it goes along with the policy that was created, the non-lapsing fund, which is an actual policy. So we felt that was more appropriate. So, and that one is accurate and up to date. So we won't be changing that one. Again, we talked about this one in January of this year. So.
Just, does it say, so in the non-lapsing
Yep.
fund policy, does
Yep.
it say that it goes away if the fund reaches zero? Because I think that was like part of the,
If the fund reaches zero, it goes away.
like, is that where that, like, I don't know if that's, I mean, it's statute, so I don't know.
It's statute. We could always add that part of the statute if you like. Yeah, we can take that one back.
Just like whatever was in that
In-
MOU.
yep.
Because it referenced statute, so maybe.
Happy to do so.
transfer it into this,
Yep.
yeah.
And again, we always provide those legal references there, but never hurts to expound upon those. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, keep chugging along. We have 3210-1 revenues from non-tax sources. That was literally a sentence. But we still had edits. And we had a lot of conversation about without delay. What does that mean? Like, what would be considered a delay? 5 days, 10 days? Should, COVID hit again? How that look, or any monies received, we always do it immediately, but just in case, the school turns to fire, we just felt like that would be a necessary delay.
Too soon.
I know. I was just like, next one is federal funds. So this is about federal grants and awards. I think we just reviewed it. I don't think we found anything on this one. A lot of it is statute too. A lot of it is federal statute. So the legal references itself are federal, which would make sense for this. So next one is tuition fees. This one we had just updated in 2023. So we also had no issues with this one, so no review. But just letting everyone know, these are what we're reviewing for public record. So it'll say at the bottom, we reviewed it. And then 3260, sale and disposal of books, equipment, and supplies. Good, I'm sorry, y'all. We'll keep going. This was just to, it was a very weird policy again, because it was this policy and then there was like a sub part of it that's disposition of obsolete books. And we were like, well, we understand some books, and I hate the word obsolete because I never think a book is obsolete, but versions that whatever. And we just wanted to note that it would be at the direction of administration too. We know that Dr. Burma is not doing everyday disposal of textbooks herself. Although I would not be shocked if she did. So, and then we were still having probably, and we could bring this back, but we were talking about the last one, I think, in the event of obsolete books remain, we should business manager could contact the town to arrange for disposal. We wanted to know what are ways we could, if anyone had ideas about like donations and that kind of thing. We didn't really like the word disposal, so we'll bring this one back, but we just want to give updates.
Yeah. If I could just speak to that word disposal
Yeah.
too, that literally, it's not donating, it's
Yeah.
literally destroying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think there's certain things, especially with copyright, you have to do to dispose of it correctly. So
Yeah.
we probably need some clarification
Yeah.
on that.
So but just so people know. Next one, school fundraisers. Newsflash, they are 2 words, or 1 word. It was 2 words before on this policy. We disagreed with that, so we changed that to 1 word. This one also took a while. I had a long diatribe per usual about what it was. I think this is really for, external groups coming in to raise funds, but it was, we recognize the desire of certain organizations, schools to raise to support students and school activities. It just had school activities. I thought it was important to add students given, it could be for a family or a student that is in need. That was looking to fundraise for specific students. So we just added that. And then we noted that some of them would annually register with their intent to receive authorization. Some of these fundraisers could be one-off things. We didn't want it to be restrictive that way. And then we just were saying it was we just changed where events held on school property. We just changed the wording of that in the last one. And again, putting that superintendent has the authorization before organization. We, as Board of Ed, aren't approving every single school fundraiser happening. I think we would be here for even longer than we are tonight. So, and last one of the 3,000s, promise we were so close, is just purchasing authority. Very short policy, so, which never means that we won't take long on it, but it is one sentence, and it still remains true that the superintendent shall have the power within the limits of major appropriations approved by our board. So that's that. Any other questions before I move on to 4,000? I promise we're almost done. We had recommendations. So this is a big one we talked about, these last two. 4,000 series. This is going to be a new policy, or new policies, I should say. Policy 4001 and 5001 for looking at student 504 plans. So we it wasn't necessarily known to us that this would be, there's always a required policy and recommended policies, and Shipman has advised that we should have this as a required policy. So all of this is really just either state or federal statute in the policy. Really all of it is legal reference. So this has to do with having a 504 policy. Now, we've always had practice of it. We've always had policies and procedures internally, but just making sure that folks know about this, given I think the relevance of 504s in our schools now. So this will apply to students. Again, it's reflective of statute section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. So all of this is language from there. And then obviously further down, it would be a very long regulation. But again, most of it, all of it in statute form. So these are recommended by Shipman and Goodwin. And this is also giving notice for way further down is just, it's a very, very long and extensive document. We also uploaded, if you just scroll down a lot more, notice of parents and students' rights within this, and then also the forms necessary. We felt that it wasn't too much to put the forms on here, just given the relevance of, if you're looking for 504, all of the forms that are required. So just wanted to make sure that was known, and we can quickly put it up, but the 504 for personnel is also on there as well. So it's a little different, obviously, given its applicability to personnel, but same concept, having all of the legal notice of it, the federal statute, and then the relevant forms there. And they look pretty and are easily able to actually be edited and those kinds of things, instead of a very weird old one that we had, I think, some forms on. So
can you just clarify, is 4010 the student and 5010 the personnel? Because I think they're linked.
Correct. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I think
Sorry, 5010 is the students. 4010 is personnel.
Okay, so it's
Yep.
just wrong in the
I'm sorry. Yep.
document.
Yep.
The labeling
Yep.
is wrong. They're linked correctly, label is wrong.
And
The
again,
policy is right.
Policy is right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll bring these back again. This is just first look at all of these things, so we actually are working.
Oh, we know you're working.
And then the last one in the 5,000 series, this is a huge, huge shout out to our teacher council, our teachers that have been advocating for this, looking at this. We know a topic that comes up is cell phones. And I think we might look at maybe at renaming this policy as well. But just so folks know, we're adding in, I'm sorry, we did rename it. It was laser pointers, paging devices, cellular cell phones, and other portable electronics. Some of it, you know what? Some paging devices may be happening, or laser pointers here. But we know that cell phones is a hot topic. We know those are definitely a conversation, although, we haven't heard too much bad things about it. And we've heard some great ways that teachers are addressing that in our schools. But this policy really came from the teachers. They wrote it. Brittany just made it look cleaner.
Is the updated though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. So, really, this is from the teachers, and we just want to thank them because I know this took a lot of time, and Mr. Farisi as well, for convening our teachers to helping out doing this. And I think it's a great policy. So we have no edits on it but Ms. Carr did just kind of rearrange some things because we do have in this part right here shown on screen is by level, making sure that we recognize the relevance and the prevalence of cell phones, smartwatches, other things. You're not seeing it obviously as much in elementary classrooms, some in middle school, obviously more in high school. And just what that looks like, we know as we talk about all the time, policy is one thing across the district, regulation is something else when it comes to the applicability to schools. So we just thought this was really well written. And then it also emphasizes, that we have our student discipline policies on there. We have authorized uses of this technology, as well as, keeping some of the policy that was in place before about notifying them of search and seizure and all those kinds of things. But really, this is making sure that our teachers have a say in policy. So I just want to thank them for that. It's one of the great collaborations that they've done. So just thank you for that. And if you have any questions on that one too, we're going to obviously bring this back. It's first showing. So.
I took the cell phone use, like middle by level, elementary, middle. The only difference between elementary and middle is that middle schoolers can have their cell phones in a pocket, but they're still not allowed to use it at all during school. So is that really?
Mr. Bruce, you want to speak to them?
Certainly. So right now, this is what at the middle level, they've agreed to how it would work unless they're given permission to use it.
Okay.
So I know differently in some of the other levels, particularly the high school. In the hallway, it might look a little differently. Here at the middle level, it would be managed this way.
Have it on them, but only use it if, they can't use it walking down the hall. But if they say, I need to text my mom, the teacher can say, go ahead, text your mom.
They could.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, I think that would come in the regulation. So that's what they're now going to build regulation around this policy. And so those are the types of things you'll see in your handbooks that we hope to go out for next school year. We would like to, if the board, if we can come to a final product here and we approve this policy at some point before the close of this school year, the goal would be that this would drive the revision to all of our handbooks and what parents would then receive at the beginning of next school year.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification.
Yeah, and I will say, not that we are on a huge time constraint, but that is the one we would, the 504 and the cell phone policy are a priority because we would like to have handbooks printed in a timely fashion.
2 more meetings.
Yes, so just want to let folks know. But that's all, yeah.
And I don't know if it necessarily fits in this policy, but I'm looking at the section where it outlines on school property, a school-sponsored activity while used for remote learning activity, if remote learning has been authorized. I think the big difference between this policy and the policy it's replacing, other than the fact that the old policy specifically mentioned Walkmans, it was that old. Do we need to put something in here about school-issued electronic devices? Because there's Chromebooks now, right? And I don't know if it fits in this policy, but that section is like, hey, you can use it if it's approved, but do we need to have something about the use of non-personal or school-provided electronic devices, just so there's a distinction? Yeah.
They're not one already?
You get the policy on that when we send them home.
The acceptable use.
Yeah,
It's
it's like, I
referenced
believe
here.
we have the acceptable use one.
Is it referenced in this policy? In the new policy?
Acceptable use of technology.
You're right. Okay, then I think we're good. Yep.
It's not the revised one, Brittany sent, so psych, guys. Which one did, go ahead.
I don't think you can share it, but.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say.
Do you want to just send it out?
Yeah, I'll
We
send
can
it
send it out.
Forward.
Okay. Yeah, I was
It's the
gonna say.
same language, but I was looking at it. It's actually broken down by purpose, then definitions, general guidelines, guidelines
Yeah.
by grade level, misuse and disciplinary action, search and seizure, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that way it makes it easier for people to
To
go
read,
through
yeah.
and say, okay, let me go by general guidelines and let me look by the search and seizure portion. And it puts it more in layman's terms for everyone to just quickly go through it.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait, is this the one Brittany did? So it doesn't change anything material. It's just how Brittany presented it, which she makes things very neat. I'd just like to point that out.
So Dr. Brumma, if you could just after the meeting, send the
Corrected
corrected,
ones.
the
So
cell
this
phone
one
one.
is, the one that I'm displaying is not the most
Correct.
Right.
It's the same language. It's just a different format where we parse out like the first part, the first stanza, just so it's a guideline to reading the policy.
And that way the board can review, before your next meeting.
Yeah, which will be Monday, May 12th at 7 PM.
Perfect.
You're all invited.
I will be
That
doing
concludes. That will be.
writing different papers. All right, thank
Thank you.
you. And we already did number 5, so that brings us back to public participation. If anyone is online, they can raise their hand to be recognized. Don't see anybody online. And no one's in the room. Remarks by board members? Go ahead, Tony.
I just want to give, let you know my opinion on why I voted no, because it makes no difference when there's 8 people voting yes. But my opinion is that the budget itself was just too high. And I personally, I don't think we worked hard enough on it. I don't mean that is a bad thing. I'm saying if we had done it on that end, we wouldn't be nickel diming on the reconciliation. I made a motion to take $176,000 out of the DEI, move it somewhere else. If we could have done that, that would have taken care of some things. And I just remember one other thing. I know there was other things, but the putting in a curriculum, a jewelry 2 class with the additional HVAC/air collector, whatever we had to add to that. I thought when you're looking at a budget that you already know is going to increase and that you need to make budget cuts, I think that wasn't a good idea. The other thing is, I know Weathersfield, Ms. Weaver mentioned Weathersfield's budget's coming up, and me and my 8 siblings went to Weathersfield High School, the school system, and we're all, maybe I'm not, but we're all very successful. I graduated magna cum laude from University of New Haven right out of Weathersfield High, but their budget is coming up. They have the same number. My belief is they have the same number of schools as we do. They have 500 more students than we do, and their budget is $30 million less than ours. So just overall, I think that, that's all. I just wanted you to know, I'm not voting no against cutting. I'm voting no because I'm very serious about the fact that I just think the budget's too high. Thank you.
Ms. Weaver?
Just want to correct the record. The HVAC isn't in the budget. It's being put into a classroom, just so you know. That wasn't in the budget. It's just in a classroom already, and it's just replacing another class. We can talk about other shows too, but I just want to say it's Teacher Appreciation Week, as Ms. Rodriguez said, and I can't think of a more fitting night than celebrating a lot of our teachers. And I had the pleasure to go to the Capitol Day for Newington Advocacy Day and talk to Speaker Ritter about some of the special education things that are happening. And he may or may not have mentioned some things about capping some of the services that for special ed, maybe being touted as working with some of those providers, because I think that many of them, there's really no regulation and they can just price gouge. Like we talked about, 30% increase for hearing services that are essential to our students, I think is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm glad they're hearing us. So I just wanted to thank all of those who have done advocacy. with the Capitol, they're hearing us talking about putting more in the education cost sharing, making sure we're fully funding that, talking about how special ed is a huge, huge impact on our town and all of the municipalities across the state. So just wanted to say thank you to all those who have continued, and I know Dr. Brummett has done through CAPS and others, because it's just a topic. So as you see the legislator come and work through that and their budget and everything else like that, I just wanted to lift that up because, and also I think we talked about paraeducators and a lot of the issues there. So it's just a reminder that a lot of what we're feeling in Newington is reflective across the state and across the country. And it's one where we want to highlight, obviously, the incredible teachers we're recruiting and then retaining for over 22 years, like Mr. Clark. So just wanted to put that out there. Our policy meeting is May 12th, and thank you all so much.
Ms. Beatrice?
And just to go a little bit on what Ms. Weaver was talking about, tonight I think we saw some of the best of what Newington Public Schools has to offer. We've heard a lot of wonderful things about Mr. Clark and the work that he's done, and Ms. Bacho and how she's empowering our youngest learners. And so, I'm constantly reminded the very, very important but the wonderful and empowering work that our teachers do. Unfortunately, this week we've also seen some things that we kind of may need to improve upon. And just a reminder, we talk a lot about our budget, and to what Mr. Miele's saying, every line item is important. We discuss, we go back, we discuss some more. And the Chromebooks and technology are an important piece of our budget, and they are not an inexpensive piece of our budget. And so just a reminder that we need to take care of the equipment that we have. And when we choose not to do that, it puts our students, our staff, our first responders at risk. But it also makes us have to rethink some of the budget issues that we need to talk about and making sure that our students have all the appropriate materials that they need. And so something that's kind of seems like not a big deal turns into a big deal with tentacles that reach into other places that maybe people don't see when they decide to choose a certain pattern of behavior or an action. So just actually a request that while we recognize the things that we are doing really, really well, we want to keep in mind things that we can do better. And so this is an opportunity for all of us to reflect upon what we can do as school community members to make sure that we are protecting ourselves, our classmates, our equipment in the best way possible, so that when we meet for the budget next year, we aren't going to have a painful conversation about how to replace things that we shouldn't have to replace in the first place. So thank you.
Mr. Newton?
I just want to reiterate that our most vulnerable population in most cases in children, this is my opinion, don't always have access, even if they have a Chromebook at home. Some situations they're in, the person withholds it from at home. Books are the connection that you can't take from them. They can always pull a book out off their bookshelf, out of their book bag. It can't be resold. It can't be tossed. We have to watch our books. We have to make sure they're still available out there. The old hard library is still very important.
Yeah. Mary brought up the Chromebooks, and I just wanted to address a couple things I saw online where a bunch of community members were kind of like, oh, let's go back to pen and paper. Like, it's too expensive. And I just want to point out for some who may not be familiar with how children are learning today, pen and paper really isn't sufficient because a lot of their textbooks are online, or a lot of, there's a lot of collaboration that they're learning. Like, we have Google Classroom, Google Docs, and just the way that students are able to write a paper and their teachers can see exactly how they wrote it. They can see, like, if they've used ChatGPT, they can see if they've used copy paste. They can see so many, so much on the screens, and they're getting a much more enriching education using the Chromebooks than they would with pen and paper. And books are, the cost of a textbook versus an online textbook is most likely the same, but it's just more portable, like all that. So I just wanted to address that the Chromebooks are really a useful, helpful tool in our community. And we saw it with COVID. We were super lucky to have one-to-one Chromebooks for all of our students because there was no way we would have been able to get through that. But just in general, like if they are out unexpectedly and they can log in and finish their homework, they don't have to worry about leaving a paper in their locker. So I just want to say that our Chromebooks are a very valuable tool for our students and a very necessary one. And yes, they're expensive. And yes, we talked during the budget season that the students need to take better care of them. So, and then we saw this week that there was an incident, like a TikTok trend that is just very silly, but also puts, like Mary said, not only the students and teachers in the room, but in the building and our community service people, fire, et cetera. So whatever they're called, first responders. So yeah, it just a reminder that the Chromebooks are an important part of learning. And, you know, there's a balance. There's definitely a balance with everything, but they are learning technologies just everywhere they stay. So having them is helping them be able to be successful in the real world once they get out of Newington Public Schools. And happy Teachers Appreciation Week to all of our fabulous teachers and paras and school nurses, which was yesterday. Nurse, yes. We recognized them at our last meeting. But yeah, this is the week, so definitely.
I so apologize, but I would be remiss. We have our next meeting on the 28th, but before that, I did mention before, but just so people know, we are celebrating Mr. Clark at Newington High School on Friday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. So would love for anyone to come and join. And there's going to be alumni and other things. I'm very tight with the MC, but it'll be a great celebration of, I think, the legacy of Mr. Clark. So if anyone has heard and moved tonight, just wanted to let the public know because it's before our next board meeting. So thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. On favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned 9:58 p.m.
The policy has been updated.
Oh, thank you.